the button and...
Sorry about your mic.
Man, that's all kinds of carnage.
There we go.
Oh, man. We don't have any cap gun shooters at the table at the moment.
I see that.
My kids said thank you.
Oh, no problem.
I make them open my beer now.
Kidding. You know what I like, gun? You know, like, kid? Guns and beer.
Shoot me another one, Johnny.
So here's a gun that shoots beer caps. Podcast number 260. Wow. That's right. God, you know, it is. We're getting to that point where we're coming up on to our 11th anniversaries. That's what, you know, or what is that? No, I said 2011, so we're coming up on our 9th anniversary.
I did have a chance to go back and listen to one of the archives, podcast number 3, I believe.
Podcast number 3, right?
That was pretty cool. I don't often get to listen to our podcast.
Right.
I just don't have that kind of time driving in a car and stuff. But that
And you
one,
were here.
I really wanted to hear that one. I'm like, wow, that was way back when.
It was a long time ago.
How many years has that been?
Well, it was February 3rd of 2011. 11.
Damn.
Yeah, back into the time machine. So we have been doing this a very long time. Yeah. And like somebody left a review that's like, wow, that was a long time ago. Phil liked Royal Enfields and he had a positive mental attitude.
I just feel like we should be a lot better by now. But
Well, you know what? We had taken 9. Let's just call it what it is. We had taken 7 years to achieve a truly awful low standard. Like we had just settled to the point where our podcast was unlistenable, and it was only true fucking perverts that were listening to it, despite the noise. You know, so having it be what it is now, having us have the good equipment and put out a product again that people tend to like. So
because that number 3 sounded great in a sound studio.
Right, exactly. I think there's nothing wrong with that. See, look at that. My God.
Fucking reflexes, man.
Oh,
we
the
had
gaffer's
Saturdays.
trying to gaff you.
And this is the one that is literally full of sugar. This is
that
the
would've
one that
ruined
would
it.
have
Stuck with everything.
You know, I always tell people these Lenovo ThinkPads. This is the old IBM ThinkPad. This is the closest thing you can get to a ruggedized mil spec laptop.
Yes.
And this though, a Natter Days
no.
Pink Flamingo Special, that'll murder a fucking laptop.
Do they still sell those, or are those like vintage now?
The computer or the drink?
No, the drink.
Both actually. So
Produced the same year.
Right, exactly. So yeah, the Natter Days though, and the Natter Days was a gift from our other podcast listeners who showed up. So yeah, to my left,
Michael,
did not fucking ride today.
I pussed out. I had a long day, and it ended up with me staring into an abyss full of shit under someone's home. And B, my child is elected to drive his friend in the VW that friend owns to Florida. And he made the mistake of leaving his Opel behind. And I haven't driven a 5-speed in a little while.
So there you go.
So I was terrorizing the shoreway.
Perfect.
It was
it's a perfect
super fun
opportunity,
coming up
right?
the hill off the turn from the airport and just getting into third and just it's a shit car. But compared to my work,
I was
van,
going to say you normally
it's
drive in a
slot car.
Econoline.
It's a slot car. Dude. I was like full on hoodie up, F you, Anthrax on the radio.
I'm putting a mask on.
No, that's all a lie.
I'm the man. I'm the man.
I'm the man.
So anyway, it was good times.
Cool. And of course, to his left,
Nick DeVito?
and Nick, you drove your Fiat.
Yeah, I really thought about riding. And then I looked at the weather forecast and didn't feel like riding in 38 degrees in the rain.
Right.
so-
We are in a heat wave right now at
Right.
40.
Yeah.
Right. So it's going down and it's going to be snowy.
So you would have ridden the Bandit?
Yeah, I would have ridden the
The
Bandit.
micro Bandit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you put snow tires on the Fiat?
I thought you were going to ask if I put snow tires on the Bandit.
No.
Wait for that. I wanted to
Yes,
answer.
I have snow tires on
Yeah.
the Fiat.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're properly ready
Yeah,
for
yeah.
ready for Cleveland, ready for Akron. Yeah. That's cool. And to his left?
Oh, Johnny Mac.
With you. Yeah. With your left. Right.
I'm drinking a delicious beer, too. Thank
You know, Great Lakes Brewing Company, this is our little home thing. If you want to know what this used to taste like, drink 12 Dogs. That's what Nick is
Equally represented.
not joking. There's a story behind that, but it is true. They do taste different. And they changed the recipe on the Great Lakes. And 12 Dogs is what I remember the Great Lakes to be. And then you've got
I've got Show Me Your Fistmas.
that's the Fistimus, right? And
From Revolution in Chicago, the murder capital of the world.
There you have it. So that's cool. And to John's left and my right.
Well, there should be Chris Smith.
Right.
He said he was going to be here, and
Yeah,
he's not.
he's not.
And then there's Dan, who I think he has herpes or something, and he's not here today.
That'll buff out.
It'll buff out.
He
And
said
so
he had a cold. Okay.
A cold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Same thing. And
Come
then
on,
there's
we
me.
can't be telling the
cold
internet
or a
that
cold
Dan
sore?
Kroenke's
A cold, right? See, cold sore. It could be herpes. We
On
don't
his
know.
penis?
At this point.
Honest, just the tip.
But Steve Sleepy, yes, I'm here.
Yeah, right on, man.
And I found something that I've never seen before, and I'm kind of excited. I haven't had one yet. It's Night Swell Dark India Pale Ale.
Dark
I have
India
two,
Pale
So
Ale.
if anybody's
Oh.
interested in it,
Okay.
Night swell. I get those.
Night swells.
I'm like,
I usually have morning
Sweetie.
swells.
See, well, can we have
Yeah.
both?
That's exactly it.
That's what she said.
Yeah, and so I'm going to go grab something real quick that one of our podcast listeners left for us. I think you guys are going to like it. We'll see.
You're setting a serious tone.
yeah. Well, every time Phil leaves, nobody talks, so we have to continue to talk.
You're a mean one,
There you go.
Mr. Cinch.
Is this one?
I pre-opened it only because the card was thick, and I thought there might have been an animal
Why
in
does
it.
it say pedo guys on
It
it?
does say
Christmas
Yes,
card.
it says Phil,
my bad.
pedo Phil,
Pedophile, make him happy.
We got a Christmas card.
pedo Phil.
Does it sing? Wait.
Oh boy.
Right into your
Yeah, what's up now, bitches?
a little burl
That's
live
the card.
I
The
love
card
it.
is singing.
A little burl
No,
live.
it's me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, or a little burl live. So if somebody wants to read our card.
I'm gonna try to read this without opening it.
It's not, yeah. Oh,
I'd be
two
happy
bad
to
skills.
read
Never crossed my mind to read it.
Nice.
Classy fucking packaging too, by the way.
Yeah.
Sent me all of the.
Is our card. It's a felted Santa Claus on the outside.
It's very thick.
beautiful.
He's got a little tassel on his cap.
He does?
Yeah.
And this came all the way from fucking Melbourne, Florida, people.
Oh, wow.
Melbourne, Florida.
Down under.
So they don't even.
Florida.
The inside says, Merry Christmas, be jolly. Thanks for the podcast, guys. From Captain Eric and Craig. Enjoy.
Salute,
Fucking
Captain Eric.
Captain
God love
Eric.
Oh yeah, dude. These guys.
Wait, I thought it said
Crazy
Captain Evil.
There you go.
Eric.
Am I the only one with the neurotic thing when you open a card, you wait for the money to fall out?
Yeah.
Did we grow up white trash and poor too?
Exactly. Right. You're just like, please let
It's
there be money in
telling.
there. Please let there be money.
My mom always just laughs at me.
All right. So here it is.
I'll put the card
It's a
It's a
down.
box.
Oh, nice.
And I can tell you by the noises it's making
Viscosity.
that it is not
Is it making a good glug
a
glug?
cat.
Is it inertially?
Approximately
It is
8 inches
also-
tall.
And it is also less than 10 weight.
It's gear oil.
Yeah.
I hear a good glug
Chinese
glug.
bikes.
Okay, it's in a box. We know what we
maple
say about
syrup.
box.
Purple
Castrol
box.
GTX.
Lavender box.
It's in a lavender box. It's
Oh
fabulous.
my goodness. Bath and Body.
Oh,
Oh, look at
Oh.
this. Oh my
Patron.
god.
Sexy.
It is sexy. Oh my goodness. It's you know what we,
Patron.
These guys
the
said,
more packaging that you have in your liquor, the better it's going to be.
these guys said your podcast has been too much
Where's your
on
little
point
chainsaw,
lately,
Phil?
and we need it to go
There's tissue. He's pulling tissue out.
completely off the rails. Is what it needs to happen.
Wow.
Wow.
It's
Oh, dude.
It's coffee liqueur.
Oh my god.
Coffee liqueur.
Dude, my buddy Fernando had that shit. It's good, man.
I'm very
My buddy Fernando.
Say no more.
Wow.
Fernando with
We
the
need some
grossen
little-
hosen.
We need some espresso cups, man. Let's get
Oh
some-
boy! All
some
right, so we're
stuff
gonna play
going
with
on.
this later. So yeah,
Yeah,
right on.
please.
Wow.
So there we go.
That's
Look
like
at that.
we need some like cream, like milk to go with that. Make like a
So
white
this is a liqueur.
black
Captain
Captain
Eric, thank you so much.
That's 70
Yeah.
proof. It's not like the 20 proof or something. It's 70 proof liqueur.
Yeah, it's a 70 proof
Ooh,
liqueur.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Straight
So
up.
that's how you have
Why
a
is
good
there a
time.
V
Very
on it?
fucking interesting.
Is it made with honey?
Why is there a B?
So
on
where
it?
does that come
think
from? I
there's a
wonder
story.
how.
PatronTequila.com. The perfect way to enjoy Patron is responsibly.
Can we get sponsored by Patron?
Okay. Patron XO Cafe is an extraordinary blend of ultra premium Patron silver tequila and the pure natural essence of fine coffee, sourced from the Mexican states of Veracruz and Chiapas. This delicate. Oh, fuck that.
That's a lot of words.
That's a lot of words.
There's
man.
no B mentioned.
Cheers.
I'm cheated.
Beware.
Beware.
I think
Fuck
that's
that.
their logo. Isn't it their logo?
I think it is. Yeah, I think you
Yeah.
get a little B on the logo.
I would have
That's
never
their-
thought
yeah.
to pair coffee with tequila.
I know. Because
But it's
both of those are natural stimulants. So tequila, only alcohol that's not a depressant.
Wait a
Oh,
minute.
fuck yes.
Oh, we got
Yes. We have
Oh.
somebody rode today.
In from the Great White North.
Oh my shitting God.
He pulled it out of
Seriously.
his Hilux.
Way
around the
to
corner
go.
and rolled up
If it
here.
isn't Santa's little elf.
Oh,
What is up?
Hold on.
I don't
just
care. This
woke
woke up.
up.
You showed up on your passport. Fuck yeah, dude. That is awesome. That is so rad. I got extra keys for your high ace. Oh, you do? Yeah, I got them for you right here.
In case you lose him in the mud.
Okay, that's cool too.
Good trade.
Money, money, money.
I got keys.
Keys. Look at that. I'll take the money. You can have the keys. Yeah. You're right. One of those doesn't work right. One of them only works right side up or upside down or something. No problem. It wasn't a great cut.
Full disclosure.
Good times.
Because what happened last time, I have to count the money every time Steve gives me money.
I know.
We got fucked.
Incident?
There was an incident. And it put us both in an awkward position.
That's all right. I mean, I wouldn't do it.
Again,
You know,
I don't think anything less of you, but the nice thing was he
Manned up.
He manned up.
Cashed up.
He cashed up.
Oh, he went to
So
the
he has to
bank?
steal $100 worth of merchandise from my shop now.
No, they counted it out, put it in an envelope, never touched it, gave it to
Yeah.
Phil, didn't even think about counting it.
And that bank teller
It was
got a
100
Christmas
it was
bonus.
$100 shook.
Anybody,
Wow.
look at that. I got a small head Ben.
Zing zing.
That's for all you preppers out there.
Keeping it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Small head prepper, small head Ben. That's untraceable, untrackable.
Frame that
Really?
move.
Yeah. There's
Does it have the strip in it?
There's no devices in there to tell you, so they can't tell the TSA how much money is in your pocket.
So is that pre 2010?
I'm glad you asked, Nick. This note is legal tender and is dated a 1990 series.
Holy crap!
Yeah, exactly.
You weren't even born
Out
yet.
of the St.
true.
Louis Mint. Yeah. Out of the St. Louis Mint, whereas this one is a 2009 series, the one with all the anti-theft devices.
So you'll put that with all your other ones.
I'm going to go put that with all the other prepper money.
Yeah.
Oh boy!
I don't have any other prepper
All
money.
your silver and
At least now they didn't question me for taking it, and the bank actually had $1,000
Oh,
for once.
you didn't have to put in a cash order for $1,000?
Pre-order.
Yeah.
I'll be buying a day or two.
Yeah, exactly. I need to make a purchase, but not until you decide I'm an adult enough to have a couple of $1,000s. So appreciate that.
I
So
used
cool.
to have a landlord that charged me extra if I paid him in cash.
What?
Are you fucking kidding me?
Charge
Did
what?
he not understand the way money works?
Oh, he had $1 million in the bank. He knew how money worked.
But he charged you extra
Yeah.
for paying in cash.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
Steve, you might want to turn that piece of tape away from you.
No.
That's supposed to point towards you, but yeah, I know you don't like it too.
No, we can actually hear him.
That's
This
where
is
the
great.
government's watching me right
Yeah, he's
there.
literally-
I look a
that's
little-
the
it's a slow day in the Pentagon. Let's
It
watch
is.
Steve again.
Let's see what's going
This
on
extra
in
cable
ClevelandMoto.
goes straight to the CIA.
Yeah, it
right
does.
there.
Yeah.
Some people buck the system. He fucks the system.
Exactly. Right. And why would anybody want to fuck with Steve Harford? He can make your poo go the wrong way.
Right.
It's important if your poo goes the right way.
That
You
doesn't
probably
sound,
need to talk
You ever want to
like
be
a
in the
nice
middle of a shit
thing.
explosion?
I need to talk to Steve.
from your job
I've
today.
had to shut people down before.
Maybe that's where it's going.
Get the fuck out
I
of
found
here.
where
When
you're
I worked
sending
for a
it,
certain,
Steve.
let's say community where you reside,
Get the fuck out of
Oh,
here.
no.
there's a company that used to be in that town.
All right.
We used to call it the Death Star because if you look at it from above,
It's-
the Borg. I'm sorry, we called it the Borg because if you look at
Yeah.
the company from above, it looks like the Borg ship.
Okay, all right.
So every Christmas Eve, you'd go home, be with your family, whatever. You'd get a call that they dumped every one of their tanks on you, and your entire plant turned into latex, like a 2-foot layer of latex.
What?
And the effluent of my plant, the end product of my plant, which is normally crystal clear like drinking water.
Drinking water, right.
Would look like blood.
Come on.
Because they're
Oh,
dumping
seriously.
That's a plague.
latex?
They would dump anything imaginable from their wastewater plant that they didn't want to deal with.
Are you?
And conveniently, when you call them, I'm sorry, we're on holiday shutdown.
And they
There's
have a
nobody
wastewater
here."
treatment plant on their own property.
Right.
Like on their own facility.
It's a pre-treatment. They call
okay.
it pre-treatment
All
because
right.
they are required to pre-treat before.
What would you dump in water to make it look like blood? I'm
Latex.
purely
Red
asking from a
There's plenty
Levitical
of things.
stand.
If your
What's blue and
treatment
smells like
process
red
uses
paint?
something like ferric chloride or
Yeah.
ferrous sulfate or whatever you're using
Like it
to
used
coagulate.
tampons.
For a friend, obviously, but what would it take to turn the entire ocean red?
Lots of dead bodies.
I can't even imagine that. If it did,
How Old Testament do you want to get?
Yeah,
That's
the
New Testament.
apocalypse.
It's
The apocalypse
Revelation.
would do
Like
that.
Wow, I can't say Revelations anymore.
Yeah.
That's a good
Oh
sign.
my God.
What? More? I can't. Oh,
He's like, I can only bang it so many times.
I've already ruined the recording. You might as well say what you want to say.
I was,
right,
I
let's
was
start over.
inside of a wash tub
All right,
and
cut.
you just smashed it with a hammer. That's
My
what
brother
it
has the same story. Anyway, go on.
So if you guys want to read, we got a little letter from Rand Waltz, one of our
Wait,
Patreons.
Let's give Eric and Craig a round of applause.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you guys,
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you
you very
for
much.
Captain.
Gracias.
But I guess I know.
Captain.
Exactly, Captain
Captain Eric.
Captain Eric.
Captain.
Captain Eric. Thank you very much. That is fucking delightful. So we'll have to do coffee drinks or something for that.
I'm just stunned by it. I don't know what to do. I'm a little phased. I'm like,
Well, we could start by opening the fucker up and pouring it into
Give
a
it a
glass.
whiff at least.
You know, I give anyone permission to open that.
What
Check.
is it?
Patron coffee liqueur,
Yeah, you're the tequila.
but it's 70
expert.
proof and it's tequila. So do you have a
I'm
knife?
All right.
I know you got a knife, and if you don't have a knife, there's a.
There's no excuse.
I was
for
going to
that.
say.
He's got a knife. Let's kid you.
I definitely would like to try it if there's like another little cup laying around.
Yeah, right. I mean, come
Or I'll
on.
take a toke right out of the bottle. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, we can all do that, so there's no problem there. All right. So again, you guys know that we have Patreon accounts. So you can go to like www.patreon.com/ClevelandMoto. Ting. And then you can give us money at the $1, $5, and $10 level. If you give us money at the $10 level, you will get the Bat phone number, and you'll be able to ask us stupid questions or send us dick pics or whatever you want to do. I have gotten all of those. So
Forward this shit.
in the spirit of the Patreon hotline membership, Rand Waltz. So Rand Waltz is hell of a good name, and so this is a pretty good email from him. He says he's been riding a BMW R1200 GS with the failed hopes of riding around the world. He's too busy working. Done some crazy stuff on it, but mostly a ton of work commuting. It's a big, heavy bike, and I want a fuel-injected standard for riding to work and back. I really want to love the CB1100EX, but it doesn't get any love anywhere. Have you guys ever ridden the CB1100EX? Is it boring? It's so pretty. Is there an old fuel-injected alternative on the cheap? So, just so we all are in the same sheet of music here, the CB1100EX in our market is the big red CB1100 that we had from 2014, 13.
Pretty bike.
Pretty fucking bike. And I mean, I agree that it's a bike that, John and I rode it, and go ahead.
oh, that's delicious.
Oh, you like that, huh?
Yeah, I thought it was just going to be coffee and tequila.
No?
There's sugar.
Oh, really?
There's a lot of sugar.
Oh,
to it.
so it's candy.
It's candy.
Maybe I'll stay awake for the rest of the podcast.
It's
like it,
more of
Steve?
like
Is it pretty good?
It's
It's
delicious.
it's
Is
like
it
a
delicious?
coffee tequila liqueur. Kind
Oh,
of.
I'm going to get you guys started on a topic. I'm going to run and go make myself one.
I must
The,
say I have a bottle of this at home, so I know what it tastes like.
Oh,
I
so
know
you're
it's
already ahead of the
delicious.
game? Yeah. So
Oh, you're already in on the game.
right.
Oh.
Yeah, he knows the rules.
Brilliant.
So yeah, the CB1100.
wild.
You're right. Every magazine that tested it, every magazine that said anything about it, didn't like it, or they just ultimately they were underwhelmed. And I think we all rode the bike, and we found that the bike was perfect. I mean, it was well balanced. That red CB1100 I had,
It's like an electric. It feels like you have an electric motor underneath you.
it really does. And
It's too refined.
bingo. And
Nothing can be too refined.
But if I'm,
Yeah.
but we talked, but that was we part of that conversation was the low energy bike, a bike that doesn't take a lot of effort to ride.
Right.
And if I'm riding around the world, I probably want to have a bike that doesn't take a lot of effort to ride.
And that really is. I mean, when you think about something from that angle, is this bike going to be just the easiest fucking bike in the
Will
world?
it ride itself
yeah.
around the world with me on it? That'd
Right.
be great.
Really? Yeah. And when I think about the CB1100, riding it around, I couldn't, no matter how hard I cracked the throttle, I couldn't make it scare me. But it was always well behaved. And
Controlled.
it was absolutely in control. Yeah, it was good.
Well, let's also talk about if he actually sells his GS, he could probably buy the other bike and then fund his trip around the world
Yeah,
with what he
that's
gets
true.
back
Yeah,
off the rest
the 1200 GS is going to, and these bikes too, because there's been 2 redesigns on the CB1100 since 2013 when they came out.
The tank got ugly though. I think.
Yeah, 14, maybe 13 or 14. Yeah, the new tank is kind of weird looking, but yeah, I agree. I think that they, I really do feel like you could probably get one of those right now for about $4,500.
Yeah, I was thinking like you
Yeah.
see them for 5, not
Yeah.
really 51,
Right.
5600.
And you'd probably have a fucking fantastic bike on your hands. And I wouldn't tell you, so, in your message, what you say is, is there an old fuel injected alternative for that bike on the cheap? Well, how much cheaper are you going to get than $4,000?
Right.
I mean,
And if it's old, you're going to lose all the reliability.
yeah. And I was thinking 919, but then we're carbs again, right?
That's true. And well, later 911s did have fuel
they fill?
injected.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can get a 919
That's an inline versus
a Hornet. Yeah.
Yeah. What was is
They're both inline fours.
Okay.
And they're both close enough on the spectrum power wise because the 1100 is a detuned 1100, and the 919, the Hornet, is a little peppy. It's got a little bit of fire in its
There's
pants.
a lot of considerations, though, when you're thinking about riding something around the world.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
What I think the CB 1100, isn't that more of a tube steel frame?
It is.
Wouldn't that hold up a little bit better under some rugged conditions? I mean,
zap
I
it
know
back
it's not
together
the
for
bike you
brakes.
really want to take on, but you might end up in countries where there's a lot of potholes and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that, you know.
And it can be welded.
That's true too.
inexpensive.
If it breaks,
you
it
can
be
fix
welded.
it.
Yep.
Yeah, if it's perpetually fixable.
Yep.
So, and again, it may not blow your skirt up, but it's going to be a Honda, and it's going to be a Honda for all of the 20,000 miles you're riding it.
Sometimes Hondas belie their performance because they're so smooth and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we were doing the 250 shootout or whatever, and I was riding a CB R250, I was like, oh, this is nothing, and when I rode it. And then you jumped on the Yamaha. Well, you felt like you were doing something, but you're like, but you know what? The Honda was actually going faster.
Yeah.
It was actually had more poke to it. It stopped better.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like as racy, though, because it was all doing it so effortlessly.
Right.
And when you go to these big shows, like when you're at Vintage Days or something, you look at the bikes that are running that are from 1960 compared to the ones that need work, and 70% of them are Hondas. They're still going.
It's absolutely
But is it also because of volume too? I mean, not
Yeah, you're absolutely
because Hondas were
You're
more
right.
prolific than
You're right.
all the other ones.
You could
So,
still get parts for your 1970 Honda
Well,
in
Honda
1990.
Honda was 4-stroke before anybody else.
Yeah.
So, 2-strokes disintegrate faster. I mean, you're going to
They certainly do.
It's,
Yeah, so that's an interesting take. If you want my basic opinion, if you like a CB 1100, well, one, it's a standard. God bless the 1970s, 1980s mentality of a standard. You can do anything with it. Change the bars, put a Vetter or something like a Vetter on it, put some saddlebags on it, and you now have yourself a world trip right there. I mean, it's a cross-country tour every day of the week. If you are a fan of the tubes, you can stuff tubes in it. If you are a fan of the tubeless, it comes set up for tubeless. So
that
farmer,
is
you
spoke
put-
rims, right?
I'm not sure if it came both.
Okay.
That's a damn good question, but yeah, I'm gonna pull up a picture of it to find out. But yeah, that CB 1100, I think that's a bike that absolutely can do anything, and because it wasn't a sales monster, I think you can get it cheap.
Are they still selling them though? Like,
Yeah, well, I mean,
selling
they're still offering them.
They're still offering. Them. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'd say that's probably the best way to put it, is they're still offering them. And so they do come as a spoke or a alloy. So and what's funny is in the alloys they're very Comstar-esque. So the
Comstar.
wheels, the alloy wheels that are on the bike, they do look for all intents and purposes like a Comstar.
Totally.
So they're a cast wheel. They're not a Comstar design, which is a riveted steel wheel.
It's like an '83 Goldwing when
Yeah.
they switched from the Comstars to the design that looked like a Comstar,
It was
but
similar to a Comstar.
right.
Yeah.
But
And
that's a way better bike. That was a way better bike. The GL 1100 in '83.
oh yeah. In '83, that bike took a turn, and I mean, it really did.
So here's a little wrench in his scenario. He's on a GS at the moment, and he's looking at this.
Yeah, he's on
a
GS
friend of mine
1200.
just went, and I don't want to take any credit, but he did see me on a dual sport adventure style thing a lot, and heard all the stories of having fun at this. He bought the Cross Tour.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So it's a little bit of both worlds melded, and maybe that would be a good answer for them.
Man,
Is
that
that
is a good
available?
idea.
But
But I think even that they're not that popular here in the States, but I think they're still
Better
a
yet.
$10,000-$12,000 bike. But I guess if that guy's got a GS, he's in the
Right,
market.
I mean,
that he can,
it's a downgrade,
yeah, yeah.
obviously, but
Yeah.
but
Did they ever make a Bandit 1200 fuel injected?
Yeah, they did. Well, it's 1250 technically, so it's at the end of the Bandit run, but yeah, they are fuel injected, right? And that's another great option, and they're not holding their money at all.
yeah.
So
I mean, if he's talking about long distance, though, he's going to want some fuel mileage and he's going to want some capacity.
Yep.
And that was where I saw.
Yeah,
like
what's
I
the
looked at
tank on
Bandits
that?
for a minute, and they have like a 4-gallon tank maybe, but they're only getting the 30s and 40s maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, the Honda's going to get you more mileage. So
sure,
the Honda's going to get you up into closer to that 50 miles per gallon.
be
You
a
can
sweet
see that
spot.
people can load as much shit on there as you want to load on it because it is a standard bike.
Ratchet strap,
You know?
so.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and also,
I got duct tape.
if he's not in a hurry, next year the Junior Super Tenere comes out 700, and that's got a 5-gallon tank. And the reviews coming in from Europe and stuff say it's a really reliable, really solid bike. perfect for what that guy
For what
wants
he's trying to do.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what.
it's going to be in that $9,000 range.
It is.
probably.
It's cheap. It's $9,000 because they wanted to kill KTM because KTM comes in at like 13 grand
Oh,
for
really?
the 790 or whatever it is.
That's
So there's some
when you get
options
into
in
the
there.
idea of doing a long distance, like you said, work gets in the way, and it certainly fucking does. And
But there's so many threads and the things that a lot of guys don't think about. So like you're trying to prepare to get this bike to go around the world, but what
Yeah.
you're not necessarily thinking about is tire size. Like what's the most common tire size that you can get in Bulgaria when you need a tire?
17 by 120, baby.
Yeah, right. So
All
like,
day long.
That's the thing that you got to think
Yeah.
about too. Some of these bikes don't have
Definitely
common size
different.
tires.
Yep. Yeah. If I just found this wanderingsouls.be, which is probably Belgium. And yeah, there's a young lady there that's got a CB 1100 with all the aluminium boxes on it. So she's from the back. She looks like she's riding a BMW. And
She's also really short though. Like that, she makes that bike look huge.
she does. Yeah. And then there's her and her husband, I think, or yep.
He's really short
Her
too.
hetero life mate. And so they're on these fully aluminized CB 1100s, and they're getting the job done by
glorious.
What is funny is that neither of them have windshields on those bikes. So it's Wandering Souls conventional spelling .be as in be a,
I just wouldn't want
be a
that
man right
much
around the world.
luggage on the bike. I mean, is that because they're camping?
It would have to be.
Well, it's
They
urban
have-
security
they have
too. When you're
tents
going
and
places, you want
stoves
to
and
lock your
stuff.
shit.
Dude, you'd be
Right.
surprised what you can think. So on my
Cameras.
S10, I have the 3 boxes, and I was like, I usually take the 2 off, and I just run the back box,
Sure.
right, top box.
Yeah.
But there's days like when you're just going to work and you want to take a laptop and a bunch of other shit and your lunch and all of a sudden you
So
have room.
easy.
Yeah, it's so easy to pile stuff in.
I don't want to camp on the bike. I want to get hotels.
Well,
If I'm riding the bike, then I want a nice place to lay my
I
head.
mean, these guys are blogging and
Right.
vlogging and shit.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. And a lot of people are doing this moto travel now, and they're doing it as an income. They're doing it as a job. They're doing it as not just an adventure,
You
but
gotta
there's a
carry
backside
stickers
to
and
it.
brochures.
Well, some people are also trying to resolve their life. There's a guy from Ohio, Danimal.
Danimal.
He's
Shout
like
out.
he's down in Bolivia now. He sold everything he owns, quit his job, cashed in his
Twice.
401k. Yeah, he got sick, came back, and now he's back at it.
Wow.
He's on a modified DR650, and he's just doing it.
Wash your
Like,
grapes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Always watch.
Oh yeah, that's what fucked him up. No, he didn't think about it.
He didn't wash his grapes?
He didn't wash his grapes, and it fucked him up.
Get the fuck out of
He
here.
was in the hospital for 2 weeks.
Baby wipes are
They
cheap.
don't call it a shithole for nothing.
Yeah.
So he got sepsis in his balls?
No, it was in his guts. He got all fucked up in his
tragedy.
guts. Yeah, he was.
He's a tough SOB though. He
When you say wash your grapes, you're talking hemorrhoids.
No,
No.
grapes. Like
Well, that too,
He
but-
knew not to drink the water, but he forgot about
Yeah.
it. He bought roadside grapes, and he
You
was
go to
hungry.
Mexico, sin lechuga, sin tomate.
Yeah.
No lettuce, no tomato, no
Yeah.
nothing that they've been rinsed in the water.
Yeah, man. And so you have to you'd have to take a bottled water, wash the shit out of them, get all whatever's.
Well, yeah, because they're
LaGuardia.
fertilized with poo.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
so you got poo
Don't
grapes.
disparage fertilizing with poo.
Don't disparage.
Do you think you're E. coli proof?
He's self-inoculating.
He's definitely E.
At a
coli
certain
resistant.
point, right? Can't you can you? I mean,
Well, I
is
mean,
that
is E.
possible?
coli E. coli? I mean,
Do you
it's
think
like,
you
is
could-
their E. coli is different
Exactly.
than our E. coli? So
Super
if they came
E.
up
coli.
here
Super.
and they ate our E. coli,
Right. It'd fuck him up.
It's a different bloom.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I imagine
Wait,
that.
so do Mexicans come up and they can't drink our water?
Negative.
No, our water's
No, 'cause our-
our
They can't
water
drink our
doesn't
beer.
have
Our
E.
water's
coli.
purified and
Right.
sterilized.
Okay. Right.
Except if you're in Avon Lake.
Chlorine.
Fuck chlorine. Fuck you, Steve. Fuck you, Steve. And I still drank all that water all week. In the past 2 weeks, all I've been doing is drinking Avon Lake water, and I have only developed one extra vertebrae.
And a lesion.
A little nubbin on the bottom of right where that little, my coccyx now is a coccyx 6.
You're growing a tail.
It's now a cock 7. Yeah. My cock 6 is
I've
a
got a
cock
5
7,
head.
8, 9. You got 5 head, exactly. Yeah. What the shit?
Tequila pour.
Pour tequila.
Pour a whore?
Pour your tequila for
Would you mind?
Por favor.
It's delicious. And thank you again for.
I know, right? What a gift!
know.
And
It's really
and he's getting to watch his gift be
Careful,
consumed
it's
too.
sticky.
So, yeah, it is getting
I'm
sticky.
used to that.
Oh yeah.
So
getting
when you're
sticky.
ready, I
Every
have a
time get it, it's
topic.
always-
Okay, I'm ready when you are.
Are we gonna? Yeah.
I have a good topic. So the motorcycle shows have started.
Yes, they
Okay,
have.
they're out there. They're doing their thing,
It is winter.
and it's winter. And so ours is January at the end of January.
End of January.
And I already have my press pass.
Excellent. So did you guys see the articles talking about how the Pan America from Harley Davidson is there, but they've encased it in a glass box, and you
Oh my
can't
God.
take pictures, you can't touch it, and you can't actually look at it
No.
except for through the glass box.
No.
100%.
You're lying to me.
I'm not lying.
No.
Why can't you take a picture of it?
Because it's reflecting. So like all the people trying to take pictures, they have the box set up. I don't know what's in it, but when you take a
mirrored
picture,
glass, but
it's
almost.
basically. So like you can see it, you can look at it, but you can't touch it.
It's like a license plate cover.
Is
so you
it
don't
really
get-
there though?
It's a hologram. It's a freaking hologram.
There's videos and everything. Phil's looking it up.
Oh man.
I'm getting tired of this charade.
I know. First, we got to ride a fucking
Emperor's
electric
new bike.
motorcycle that's in bondage, that's literally bolted to the floor.
Yeah.
That's the first, like the giant fuck you.
They sealed this in resin.
You're a douchebag.
like a T-Rex
Harley
turd.
Davidson.
My question is the CT 150. Did that
Your
come
bike
out?
is encased in
CT
glass.
the CT one.
Or
You
whatever
bolted
they,
it to
you
the
know,
floor.
you have the CT.
The CT one, yeah. No, I don't think it's come out. I think that was just
That's
like
gonna be
teasing for next
okay,
year.
for next year.
Yeah, I think that was,
Well, good thing because
I'm more
that was
interested
teasing
in that, honestly.
dude. They're not. He's not shitting you. Like for real. Oh Jesus Christ! Sorry, bud. That was not meant to happen.
What was the guy's name? Randy?
I made the mistake of clicking on something that I thought was actually content.
Here
and
it is
turns-
in the box. Look on my
Yeah.
phone.
So there really is.
How did they take a picture of it?
It's a
They have
you
a special
can't-
camera.
You can see that it's in a giant
Yeah,
box.
it's clearly in a giant box. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The what do they call that one? The Brooklyn,
If you just smear
Bronx,
oil on
the Bronx.
on your filters,
it's made out of clay.
take
the Sybil Shepherd. he's a Sybil Shepherd
Vaseline in
filter.
the corners.
Little Vaseline in the corners. Yeah.
Speaking of the which, this is
See, look,
really good.
even on Adventure Radar, they say, but you have to wonder what the Moco is thinking when they bring their new machine to several motorcycle shows and encase it in a large glass box.
yeah, for real.
A box that keeps people far enough away that they can't inspect any actual part of the bike and not even touch it.
Yeah, I mean you see what's going on there, guys.
I think it looks pretty good.
It's
Though.
bike in a box.
maybe they 3D
Well, that's
printed
one
it.
of the only ones that's going to be built, probably.
Oh,
But isn't the thing like so? If you want to sell a bike, you want people to sit on it. You want people to say,
Yeah.
"Oh, this feels good."
It's a
or
tactile
at least,
experience.
or at least don't be doing this.
raffle
'Cause
off-
this is
Like, remember that old game show where they put you in a box with a bunch of
the money
balls?
around. Yeah,
It says, look what it says on the floor, though. Styling prototype.
it does say styling prototype, and that's why they don't want Japanese.
That's the first one.
I'm going to
They're
say that again. The reason they're doing this is that,
They're 3D printed.
Spies.
no, I hate to say it, but at a lot of motorcycle shows, there's the story about the Honda Joker. There was this scooter called the Honda Joker, and in Japan it was called the Honda Shadow. And the Honda Shadow scooter, and I'm going to bring up a picture of it so you guys can see it. And you podcast listeners, it's very easy. You go to your Google device, and if you type in Honda Shadow scooter into your Google device, you can participate along with us, the podcast viewers. And when I show you a picture of this Honda Shadow scooter, you guys are all going to say the same thing.
it a ruckus?
You're all going to say, hold on, Phil, that's not anything special. I know that bike. Oh. Right? And you're going to say, I've seen that bike, Phil.
Oh, yeah.
That Honda Shadow scooter is every fucking bullshit Chinese, craptacular Chinese piece of shit ever. Is that Chinese. And like, you've seen Chinese companies call these the Retro 150 or the Lowboy or whatever.
If you don't have access to it, it's every scooter that doesn't have a headset. It has like the chrome
Handlebars,
coming out the top,
chrome
right?
Harley style handlebars, like cruiser handlebars, and that's what this bike is. And you're going to go, well, Phil, that's not a Honda product. That's clearly a fling poo. Well, here's the thing: is when this bike was on display at the Tokyo Motor Show, before Honda had the chance to actually build the goddamn thing, they did what? They put a prototype together, like everyone does. And Chinese companies were taking photographs of it in great detail at the Tokyo Motor Show. And the Chinese companies actually beat Honda to market.
Holy crap.
They
Yeah.
laser scanned the motherfucker where
Yeah.
it was sitting.
Yeah. So what had happened is when the Chinese companies came to market with a product that was less than $1,000, it devalued the Honda Joker. They had done all the trouble of designing the fucking thing and making it look all pretty and work and whatever.
We should stick to food.
Exactly. Well, when you look at this, when you look at the picture of a Honda Joker, a Honda Shadow, sorry, it was called the Honda Shadow in some markets. It was called Honda Joker in other markets. And that is a great example of how you have to be careful with your intellectual property. And that might be why these design prototypes are in boxes, to make sure that California Scooter Company next year doesn't have a bike that looks exactly like the Bronx called the Brooklyn. and would be a 600cc exact replica of what the Harley Davidson product is.
So Honda spends millions and millions in R&D.
Yeah. And then the Chinese just walk up and take a picture of it.
Right.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened here. So, that's
a
it.
pile of
Chris
crap.
Smith!
In the hose.
Chris Smith gets the microphone of shame, shame, shame,
Is
shame,
flowing gone
shame,
down?
shame, shame.
Happily so.
Yes.
Good,
Yay. Yeah. So you were on the might not going to make it list.
You're right.
Yeah.
and
Holy shit.
And I apologize. 2 kids came in town for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
So we went out to have some
Good job.
pizza,
Good for
and
you,
then
man.
Stop and
Yeah.
make some potables.
Yeah,
Potent
yeah.
Potables.
Brought those
Yay.
by.
Yeah,
all
we have a
about the
podcast
rebound.
listener that provided us with, Captain Eric provided us with a delicious tequila cafe.
Yeah.
So you should put that over ice in a rocks glass if you want something that's a delightful libation.
Delightful.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
I'm all about
Yeah,
delightful.
I'm ready to have some. So yeah, we're talking about like that. When we think about the idea of there being a motorcycle show,
Stop cock blocking the cameras, Chris.
when we think about the idea of there being a motorcycle show, and we
It's like a
can't.
test pattern.
Chris has back. I can't-
Put your big fat ass up against
I do
it.
like that. Yeah,
Oh.
that is literally. We're gonna be able to tell how tall everyone is if they get in front of you.
You got a magic marker, stand up.
Your Honor,
Those
Your
stripes
Honor.
are about a half inch.
You look really skinny in that shirt.
Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, that looks like some sort of a nog.
There's chunks in it. Poppy seeds.
There is
I
nutmeg.
said I wanted eggnog. Here we
My
go.
God, look at you
It's a
with the
Heinz
little
57
little
bottle.
bottles.
My own private.
Oh my, your own private stash. You know that is the thing. Oh, good man, look at
Specimen
you,
cups.
Brett
Not as
Specimen
dumb as
cups.
I look.
That's right. Yeah.
You're much dumber.
When you ask for a sample, you do work in the healthcare industry. So when you do bring specimen cups, well
Gloves
done.
on
Used,
before he hands
you
it.
know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Lightly
They
used.
rinsed them out.
They
though.
rinsed them out.
So
yeah.
I feel like those little black specks are coffee grounds,
Yes. What did
not
we say?
sesame seeds,
Correct.
Poppy.
poppy seeds.
You're not going to ring the bell with this stuff.
All right, take one down.
All right.
pass it
So,
around.
that looks.
That is delicious.
Can you put
But I
coffee-
mean, really,
coffee-
this is delicious too. So can I do this?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, Chris, fill us in while we're pouring it out. Tell us
All
what
right.
What is this?
Body of Christ.
Well, everybody
body of
taste
Christ.
it first.
Body of
We gotta-
Christ.
Get a piece of popcorn.
Does everybody have some?
No, I don't have any.
Here, no, that's
Well,
yours.
damn it.
Oh, that's mine. Okay.
The hell
Just bring me
happened?
one this
Fuck
way.
you, Phil. You
We
don't
just
get
kept
nothing.
passing it.
That's
and it
delicious.
Well,
stopped.
Mike doesn't have one either. So there.
Well,
Here.
Hey,
I need a cup.
Come on.
cups.
I'm here to help
And-
you. I'm
and-
here to help you.
And we have
Imbibe
John,
the spirit.
John says I'm only pouring
only
3 of
taking
them.
care of
Fuck
me.
it.
I love the
Steve.
way that the little chocolatey things are floating on top. It's really cool.
Those are actually
Coffee grounds.
Correct.
Oh,
I'd rather share Mike with John.
there.
what's that?
I want to be on the record to say I'd rather share Mike with John.
I know, right? See? Oh.
I'd rather share the John with Mike.
Just speaking to my pants, Steve.
All right. Are we in? Let's try this thing. Let's see what this is all about. Oh, come on, Sleepy.
I'm working on it.
Program.
Merry Christmas.
Oh,
Thank
he
you,
got
sir.
the extra
Merry
green.
Christmas, everybody.
Cheers.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Feliz Navidad.
Hey.
Oh man.
Oh my God! I wish our listeners could taste that.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, damn, that is good.
That's
Need the
complex.
Complex. That's complex.
Oh
Wow.
man,
A lot going on there. I can taste the
that's
special
fantastic.
sauce.
That's why this is such a good podcast.
Well,
It's just
now I've got
Delightful.
another
It's almost
pint of
buttery.
this stuff that I'm not allowed to bring home.
nope. You're not. No,
so-
you're not. You're
so
gonna go
please,
round 2 over here. Absolutely. Yeah, test pattern.
We don't want you to be naughty and miss out on Santa's.
I'm
Fill that up.
thinking. I'm almost thinking of mixing the
Meniscus
two.
is you.
Oh, that might be really good.
That actually would be good.
Da-na-na.
Let's give her a
Phil
go.
is an experiment in physics.
Two great tastes that taste
That's
good
what you need
together.
right there. That's,
I like a nice power.
Stop right there. That's
Stop.
good.
Oh my
That's like that's
Yeah,
a Nikita.
hold on.
That's a white Russian.
Great idea.
That's like
Oh,
I
take
need,
a
I need to
picture
go
of
get
that.
somebody else. Talk to the
Get
listeners.
some rocks. Go get your rocks on
yeah.
Phil.
No, taste that. I want to know what that tastes. That has to be like a super white Russian.
It's super white Russian. It's a super soldier. It's amazing though.
If I was a girl, I'd
That's
say
a-
that. If I was a girl, I'd say that tastes like a chocolate Santa Claus came in my mouth.
Well, it's a good thing you're not a girl.
What's that? You found chocolate thunder again?
Yeah. Actually, yeah. I
Mix
feel
that-
like chocolate thunder
Yeah,
just
that's
squirted
really
in my
good.
mouth.
I can't.
We're gonna call this the Putin. That's the super Russian right there.
Oh, that is. Well, that's the reason you got schmoo all over the side.
Yeah, right.
And this is why I sat with my back to the camera last
Oh
week.
my God.
Yep.
Daddy, why don't you talk?
Oh damn! I'm gonna have to have some more of this. This
That's
is
good.
This podcast just fell off.
So I started since I've been home from work.
Fucking motorcycle.
I had a fucking peanut butter cupcake that my wife brought home for me. I baked these chocolate.
You
chip,
make chocolate chip cookies, yeah?
The big chocolate chip cookies. Had about 6 of those motherfuckers.
We're gonna go into shock.
I haven't eaten anything savory at all. It's just been all fucking sugar.
Diabetes.
Diabetes. Got the
Get my
diabetes.
test strips and catheters for free.
Better get some shots up.
Oh my God.
So another word from our sponsor,
Patron.
You know, I find
I'm working on it.
Patron. Is,
T-Rex arms, bro. I'm sorry.
we have the Patron coffee blend. It's a
fuck
smooth
mine. Oh,
mix
man,
of two
fuck
great
me
I'll be
right.
things.
sending an
Yeah,
email
good
tomorrow.
oh, that is
An
delicious.
email to the Patron company letting them know about this amazing
Dear
podcast.
sir or madam.
boy.
Yeah.
I might have a connect with Bacardi. I do.
Yeah, well, do you have a connect with Mrs. Smith? 'Cause that is
Well, I can't talk about that right now with Chris here.
Not with Mr. Smith around.
Okay, so I know for a couple weeks we talked about the dentist.
yes. We're talking about
I
dentists.
talked about the optometrist. I went to one today.
You did,
Because I'm pretty blind.
right?
you
Yeah,
know.
you have very thick.
But they have a
dark
new
glasses.
machine that I just have to say, this is really cool. You look into it.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to put any drops in your eyes. You don't have to do anything.
What?
They scan your entire eye and they give you a high-res photo of your
The back of your
optic
retina?
nerve. Oh, it's whatever it
tonsils.
is. It's unbelievable.
Renee's going to be so pissed because she just went to the eye doctor not even 2 weeks ago, and they did the drops in the eyes where they open up your, and fuck your whole world up. Yeah, that's terrible.
Well, this
You
is
leave
what-
there
this-
thinking, feeling like you're tripping.
I went in the 80s. I had to go get
wouldn't know anything about
pre-flight physical for the military, and I was heading into a different job, and I was like, "Yeah, I got to get a pre-flight physical." And I went in, and they didn't tell me that I was going to have those drops put in my eyes. So of course I rode my motorcycle to the appointment. And the appointment, I was living in a town called Mainz, the town called Wiesbaden is maybe only 20 kilometers away. It's pretty close, but just the same. When you're fucking blind, or like the opposite is like your eyeballs are just too open, and
And you're trying to get back to G-spotting?
yes, these not G-spotting, Wiesbaden.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Although, why didn't we call it that? I wasted 3 years of my life not calling it G-spotting. What the fuck, man?
I would have straightened you out on that right away.
How did I live there for 3 years?
30 seconds.
And it was the years of my life when I was like 18, 19, and 20
You
years
didn't know
old.
where the G spot was at that point.
That's a good point. We still were fairly convinced that was a myth.
Fumbling in the
Yeah,
dark,
exactly.
man.
We thought
The
Wiesbaden
G-spot
was a
wasn't
myth.
really popular way back then.
Verboten spotting.
I mean, no shit, right? Come on. Oh my god.
It's you're older and wiser now, man. You can find it like that.
So speaking of optometrists, I
Yes.
had some eyeball surgery the other day.
Oh, you did.
Really?
That's right. You did. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a torn
You had a torn retina.
retina.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, not detached, but
No, actually
what
torn.
were you reading?
retinal tear. Yeah.
Right.
So
What were you reading? You need to read softer.
you
You
read?
need to read softer porn.
Mrs. Smith kicked the shit out of me, man. What
my
can I say?
I don't blame her.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Sometimes you get hit in the head.
Well, I've had some horrible eye problems. It's called anal glaucoma. It's where you can't see your ass going to work.
As long as you're not cock blocked.
They call off sick for that.
Yeah.
So you had the surgery.
Yeah.
They laser welded your eyeball, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That's what
yeah,
they did.
Yeah. So where the tear came from the top halfway down, they just tack weld around the bottom of the
Cool.
around the bottom of
Yeah.
the tear, and then they put a second bead in, just to make sure that it doesn't
Fucking love that shit.
over tear. Then you go in another week, and he says, "Yeah, it's hanging in there."
He hits it with a hammer. Doesn't break.
with a grinder.
He throws it.
Did they chip off the slag? Yeah.
He throws it on the
slag
floor.
is still in there. Yeah,
So is it done by a person or a robot?
it's a person. And actually, so I was over at the
We live in the future, by the way. Everyone here just went, wow,
make
because
one
we
of
were
those things?
surprised it was done by a human.
You can
Like,
make
because
that.
the natural belief
Yeah, we
was,
can't do that.
We can't do that. We have to trust that to a robot.
Yeah.
well, so I go in,
AI.
and the guy says, "Well, yeah, we're gonna have to do this procedure," and
heard that
there's no attending physician there. There's a fellow, which is he's in his fellowship, and then there's two residents.
You just hum.
Okay.
So the guy says, we're going to have the senior resident do it. And I
Right.
said, not a fucking chance.
No.
I said, I'm not having a resident.
See, I know a little bit about this game.
Right, exactly.
You're very intimate with the medical care and everything. And, Yeah, no, not a fucking
Yeah,
chance.
so
Not touching that.
Well, I have a question then. So the guy's going to do my operation is named Hauser, Doogie, or something. So I'm a little concerned.
Sounds a little gay.
So
Well,
where
he's-
does he
he's-
rate on your scale?
He's going to be reinstated pretty soon too.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you go and you look down in the
Almost.
parking lot and you see his little tykes parked out there, yeah, you'll be like, yeah, there we
Did
go.
you
But it's a
read that-
Bentley.
That article about the robotic surgeon that went nuts, and the surgeons could not turn the thing off.
Come on.
And it was
middle of
hacking the guy
surgery?
up.
Get the
Oh, yeah.
plug out of the wall.
The guy could not turn the robot off. He didn't know how
Don't
to
they
turn
have a big red fuck
No,
off button for that?
He sent the tech. He sent the two
Unplug.
techs who were supposed to run the robot
Yeah.
out for coffee.
The robot did?
No,
The robot's like, you guys need coffee. You guys need coffee. I'm going to fuck this bitch up.
I will be okay.
No, the doctor who was in the room with it
Yeah.
sent the techs out for coffee.
I'm going to go Asimov on this shit.
And then the
Right.
thing went. The thing just went crazy on the guy, and the guys were out. The techs were out for coffee.
Where was this?
And they come back and
No,
the
I read
guy's
an
got an
article
extra
about it.
dick and like
It wasn't that.
No, it was like a year or two
It
ago.
was in Sri Lanka.
Apparently, these guys never watched any of the CNC fails. You know, like we're just sitting there running through the day.
Never saw
Has nobody ever worked with a 3D printer? Like, seriously, a 3D printer will fuck up your world if you walk away from it for 1 second. Part of what holds a 3D printer together is the energy of your eyeballs watching it. Because the second you take a look away from a fucking 3D printer, you literally get schmoo going everywhere inside a
that
fucking
It
thing.
knows when you're in the room.
It does.
It knows when you're not
man.
there.
When you have a 24-hour print or a 28-hour
Yeah.
print, and you come in and you have a PLA afro the size
Yes,
of the whole
exactly.
room, you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's what happens when Lego gets excited. Dude! Italian Spider-Man all over the fucking room. Yeah.
A 3D printer
see
with
that?
beef and like bread would be so cool. Wouldn't it? You can
A
make so many
3D
cool
printer
things.
out of bread.
I want a
Beef
3D
and
printed
cheese.
That would
sandwich.
make, that would print like beef and bread and
okay.
whatever. Like
Did you happen to see that movie that came out last year? It was like the Dirty Muppets looking for the
Yes, I did.
And
yes.
he had the
yes.
spray
and he had the
string.
silly spray string. Yeah, exactly. Right.
3D printed food. That's a thing. It could be
Why
a
not?
thing.
It's
not?
called McDonald's. They've been doing it for years. You ever had a fucking nugget?
Right.
That's 3D printed food.
Do you know McDonald's is the largest purchaser of ocular
I thought that was when you
size?
pushed too hard.
They got like a fucking.
And
You take a can of Cheese Whiz, you jam it in your fucking printer, throw some fucking salami and bread down there.
Lunch.
Instant sandwich.
telling you, man. Anytime you've ever eaten anything that was a loaf, anything you've ever eaten that was like pepperoni loaf,
Hostess blueberry loaf.
I've made shit like that.
Bologna
That's
loaf.
a little different.
pimento loaf. That's all printed food.
I want like salami.
It might as well come out of the fuzzy pumper,
I
like a
want
Play-Doh
salami
fuzzy
in a
pumper machine.
honeycomb pattern.
Salami, not honeycomb. It gives you a good texture, a good mouth to it.
Waffle lami.
Waffle lami. Now that's an idea. Square pigs. Just makes sense.
So anyway, motorcycles.
Fucking Nick is crying. One little tear coming out of his eyeball.
Oh my god! I think it might have fallen.
Oh, back to motorcycles.
Have I missed anything?
Oh, no, Chris, you haven't missed anything at all. We opened up Christmas present. It's
good
good.
that you
Yeah,
came,
it's
though.
fantastic.
And on that note,
What is it? in this?
Dun, dun, dun. Sorry.
Gotta go.
I don't know what's in this stuff, but it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I don't know. I don't know. And I understand why people like coffee so much. It's it.
Chris is like, we've had this at our Christmas every 25 years for the last 25 years, and nobody's ever fought.
No. This makes you fight.
Yeah.
If you ever want
Yeah.
to see a redhead throw a punch, give her a Christmas fail. Yeah. If you're not sure your girlfriend can fight, give her 3 of these. Yeah.
I
She'll
like
punch
seeing
your
redheads do anything. Really.
Some Christmas tale.
Christmas fail. It's a Christmas tale.
I
Christmas
proposed-
fail. Christmas jail. Yeah.
I proposed to
I've heard
my
'em all.
wife as Prosperity, or not at Prosperity. Afterwards, we went to Prosperity, whatever kind of thing.
And what? And Bonnie said,
It was
Bonnie was like,
in December.
congratulations.
It was it was almost been a Christmas.
Yeah.
And she had 4 of those, and she passed out, and I had to drag her home.
See?
I was expecting like the best night of my life.
you
Right?
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because she had 4.
What did
Yeah.
you
She
do?
would have had 3.
Would have been good.
Well, wait a second. Once you get her home and she's
Whoa,
I'm not saying.
Why wait till you get home?
Wait, did you propose
wagon.
after she passed out or
diminished
before?
capacity.
Oh, it was after. Yeah, that's why we're married.
She's
Right.
married.
You know what's really good Christmas sale though is 8 Crazy Nights by Collision Ben.
Okay. I like a lot of the collision Ben's
Yeah,
a
they're
nice
good.
place.
Yeah, we had a taste testing at Thanksgiving, a blind taste test of like 8 different Christmas sales. And,
Oh, really? That sounds like a thing I could get into.
Oh, that stuff is really good.
Is that Luke Purcell down there at Collision Ben?
I think it is.
Used
Yeah.
to be Was it? Did he used to be at Great Lakes?
He used to be at
He
Great
was.
Lakes.
Yeah, that's where he started. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So it is Luke.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
back
but
when we were there.
it's delicious. You have to try it. It's a real subtle. It's got real subtle flavors, but it's smooth. And
Well, bring a
delicious.
fucking growler. What do you just?
I'll bring it.
Jesus Christ! Tell me about it.
I
don't think you ever finished talking
Chris,
about
it was so good. I'm going to tell you exactly everything about it. And someday, maybe if you're good, you can go buy yourself a pint. But until then,
Fuck you.
you can have my
Period, new
sloppy
period.
seconds.
Previa rode in on.
Well, this, like you had mentioned, the Great Lakes seems to have changed. Like that's
Well, again, as we
it used to be a
12
lot more
dogs-
spicy and stuff.
Yeah,
like
12
that.
dogs is more like what I remember Great Lakes to be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure.
You know why that is?
I was going to say,
boy.
that's the fucking recipe, isn't it?
Well, Tim Rastetter came up with the recipe
Right.
when he was working at
Great
Lakes.
Lakes. Yep.
And then he
then
eventually
the
ended up
recipe went
over at
with Tim.
Thirsty Dog. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's Tim Rastetter's recipe.
And Tim's a great guy. So,
Yeah.
he's one of those dudes that.
He's the guy. I showed you that photo.
Mm-hmm.
Harley Davidson hit the black bear. You guys remember me showing you that
Yes,
photo
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
of when he hit a black
Yeah.
bear
Yeah.
in the Alleghenies?
he- that was
PA?
him?
That was him.
Yeah, that's him.
There's only 4 left.
Black bears. He didn't hit a goddamn polar bear. He wasn't in Alaska.
My bad.
I was jet skiing through Alaska and hit a fucking polar bear.
I just know I started backpacking over there when I was about 18, and we saw porcupines, black bears all the time.
yeah.
I haven't seen one since then.
Oh no, there.
Well, have you been back out there?
Oh,
We used to go up
there
to
you go.
Potter County, PA.
You were looking for an export.
My dad
It's not like
shot
seeing a
bear.
black squirrel.
I will never feel like I'm as much of a man as my dad
Hold it
until I
over the
shoot a
board.
bear because he shot a bear.
Oh really?
Wow.
And I've often thought about trying to go on that endeavor. I haven't hunted since I was 18 and everything. But I've thought of like, you know what? Maybe just taking like, find out when first day of bear season. And my strategy is going to be this. And you tell me if this is right or wrong. Or
I
not.
think you probably hit one with your car
You
easier.
gonna take a picnic basket?
Well, I know where to go because I remember where we used to go and everything.
Right.
And I'm going to go out there like dark 30, like real early in the morning. And I'm going to sit down. I'm going to take a little 1-burner stove and I'm going to make some bacon.
Oh.
And I'm just going to sit there and cook up some bacon.
See, to me, I used to hunt, so I was
You're
an
not allowed
avid
to bait
hunter
'em.
for a
But
long time. You
I'm just making
bear
my-
baiting is illegal.
Making
That's
your
where,
breakfast.
I'm just making my breakfast.
that's where the term comes from.
I'm
no
just
bear
making
baiting.
my breakfast. If I happen to dump the grease out right beside all over
wait,
me.
are you going to have it everything day?
I would be more inclined to say you have to make it truly sporting, and that is
I just want to kill a bear. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to shoot the motherfucker. dead.
yeah. I've
No, I don't.
turned.
I really don't.
I've
With your
turned
22?
quite a bit with the 22 slingshot.
You need a 30
800
6,
rounds.
wouldn't you?
That'd
To
make
make
No,
it
I
fire?
think I think you got to kill your own bear, but you get to do it with a marshmallow. gun.
Look, I've got every caliber between a 22 and a 30-06, so I think we're covered.
But a marshmallow gun, because
That's
on one
sporting.
hand, the bear wants the marshmallows.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the marshmallow gun creates distance between you and the bear.
I think like a bag of garbage.
Only
might be
7 feet,
better.
If you dip
Yes.
marshmallows in that tequila,
But you got to be fast. So you got to give the bear enough marshmallows that it decides that it's just bored of the whole situation, which for me is about 1 bag of marshmallows.
AK
So for a bear,
marshmallow.
I think it's probably 4 bags of marshmallows.
No,
Now,
how
it'll
about
take at least 3
marshmallows
people to
laced
fuck an
with
ostrich.
LSD?
Uh-oh.
What'd you say, Steve?
Marshmallows laced with LSD.
Best idea ever. Tripping bear?
And then the bear would be like
and bear.
colors.
And he probably wouldn't want to eat you anymore.
There's a video on YouTube.
Well,
Well, you
the
want to eat
problem
them real
with that
fast.
is if there's marshmallows laced with LSD,
I've seen The Revenant.
I'm probably going to have to try one or two.
Bear's going to have to wait after the bacon.
You can
Bear's
find-
like, and John's like, I always wanted to shoot a bear, but I thought fucking one would be more fun.
there's
It's crazy. It
It's
was just
super
like,
troopers.
I could feel it. It could feel me. We were feeling each other.
It's going to end up like The Revenant.
There's videos of people that have found animals that have eaten mushrooms.
Really?
The mushrooms are tripping balls, fucking laying in a field like squirrels.
Just
like,
animals.
"Ah!"
Just animals
Yeah,
just fucking
yeah,
out of their brain.
yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Johnny Mac wakes up wondering where all these scratch marks came from.
Exactly. Right.
Where's my bacon?
There's a bear laying there smoking a cigarette,
Yeah.
drinking a beer.
Yep. And 6 months later,
Giving you a reach around.
Hey,
Bear's
Johnny.
wife comes up to
6
talk
months
to you
later,
about-
John gives birth to puppies out of
Daylight, I
his
need to
cubs
go.
out of his butt.
And protects him like a mother bear.
Oh boy.
He would. All of a sudden, John falls asleep, and we're like, I think he's hibernating. He's got a
So
little bear in him.
motorcycles.
Thank God for the younger crowd.
Bless Nick.
Bring us back on
love
point.
squirrels.
Bless him,
Comes
love to
in.
death.
He's just got tubs of honey with him at the podcast.
I don't know what you're talking about. Big class.
Say something more
Smarter than the average bear.
So you guys know for motorcycle show this year, IMS, the folks at the IMS have been nice enough to share with Cleveland Moto, not one, not two, but 18 spaces for vintage motorcycles.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Well, apparently everything that we've done over the past 7 years
Starting to pay off.
It's bringing in people.
is bringing in people, or they're happy with what we're doing.
Okay.
So,
So it's fine. You know what? You're finally getting some fucking recognition
do you remember when
from being persecuted to being like, what the fuck is this? I don't know if that's a vintage.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you can bring that in or not,
Right.
or what. To feeling like you were like,
Yeah.
holy shit, are we going to get away with this again this year?
We felt like for years and years and years, we felt like we were sneaking it in, right? Like we were fooling them somehow.
Well, I don't know if it's really
Right.
a vintage bike. I
Exactly,
don't know if I can have it in the booth.
Oh,
We're getting
that's
this
a
free booth.
That's a GB 500. That looks pretty modern.
They
I think
might
that's
not
an
give us
89.
They might not give us a rolling pass to get it back out of here
Right,
once we bring it
exactly.
in.
Yeah.
Do
So
they have to be running?
no, I mean nothing. It has to be.
Got one for you.
It has to be art, man. It has to be art. So here's what we're going to tell
Maybe they
people.
realize their fucking show started to suck.
Well, it could be, and it could be.
People like the Vintage Japanese Motorcycle Club and a lot of people who were bringing some of the really cool stuff have dropped out of it because
Right.
of their draconian rules, and they want you to sign your life away.
Right.
And
It is difficult. Like
and-
doing the paperwork to get through it is not easy.
And they also have to start thinking about, like when you develop an area for shopping, you don't allow 17 taco shops to open in the same thing. But the motorcycle show is like, oh, you sell leather and things that hang off handlebars?
Right.
You're more than welcome. And there's 150 leather sales,
There
and
sure
there's
are.
nothing else.
But wait, Steve, don't forget those guys that have the little shops with the stuff that hangs.
Right.
They're willing to pay the money.
They pay $1,000 for every 10
They're,
feet.
they're going to take whomever.
That's right.
One
Right.
time
right.
3 or 4 years ago, they took a physician that does plastic surgery.
Right.
Out there, remember that?
Yes,
where they
I
had all
remember
those
that.
chicks out there.
They had the chicks out there
And
with
I
the
said,
boob-
what,
the
what are
booty
you
booth.
doing? The guy says, I'm doing tattoo removal.
Exactly.
And I said, well, you're at the wrong place.
no, I don't
You
think
need
he is.
No, I told him. I said, you know where you need to go? Spend your money at the bridal show.
Yeah, bridal show. Yeah.
Because that's where
then
all
that
the moms
tattoo's
are
gotta
walking around with their
go.
daughters going, like, get those fucking
Yeah.
wings off your back, for Christ's sake.
Let me ask
That
you
hatchet man's got to come off your tit before you marry my son.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So in 2000 and earlier, like 90,
Marketing.
95,
Bridal
2000,
show.
2000, whatever,
I'm ignorant.
I would save $400 all year to go to the motorcycle show, and I would come away with good gloves,
Yeah,
like
gloves,
name
jacket,
brand
helmet.
gloves,
Yeah.
jackets, helmets,
Right.
all this stuff. Now there's two guys selling
Yeah.
like Japanese,
And
or
they're
I'm
only
sorry,
selling
Chinese
Vega
bullshit.
helmets.
Yeah, right.
So Vega helmets, which are $29.95 for a full face, my cost. Oh, sorry, didn't want to ruin the fantasy for anybody.
Man.
No, we don't stock that shit because that is a bad helmet. Like it's a garbage helmet.
Kill you dead.
And they're $29.95 my cost, and they sell them at the motorcycle show for $49.95. And everybody's like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna have full face helmet for $50. I can't miss." And people I know and respect,
I get it cheaper online.
With free gloves.
you bastard. Yeah. And people I know and respect have walked into our booth carrying like 4 Vega helmet boxes. And he's like, "Oh, the guy gave me a sweet deal. If I bought 4 helmets, he gave me $20 off." And I'm like, you bought garbage. But it is better than having no helmet, which is no helmet.
But what happened to all the places that used to show up and sell stuff? They're
Because
gone.
what has happened with the show is over the years, the thing that they promote, the idea that they promote to the vendors is that in a market like Cleveland, the first thing I'd like to tell you is there used to be 16 or 17 shows.
Right.
So every major metropolitan area had a show. And I think if you look at this year's schedule, there's either 7 or 8.
Yeah, it's
maybe.
definitely down.
Okay. And what they say is, Steve and your company and what you do, the reason you want to come to this show is because in one weekend, we're going to have 42,000 exposures.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right.
So 42,000 exposures. And what I've learned over the years is, one, that doesn't mean 42,000 different people are coming to the show. No. Now, 5,000 of those people are going to be the same people that come in on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You know why? Because they got a booth there. right? So
They're counting the vendors.
I think they are.
Oh no!
And I think that they're running the little number counter on the door, because I think we've all been here. Most of us that are sitting at this table have been at that booth. We've been kind of at the show all weekend long. And to say that there's 45 or 50,000 people in that show over the weekend feels really high to me.
Very good stretch.
And that's why I don't think they're saying like $40,000 of purchased tickets or 40,000 purchased tickets.
Right, no way.
I think what they're saying is there's 40,000 entrances.
They also compress the space so it
Yeah.
appears that there's more people.
They
there.
do. And every year the space does seem to get tighter. And we're taking up less and less of a building that you can see from space.
You got
Plus,
your
there's
hands.
so much space in there. Why don't they just make it bigger so people can walk?
And again,
not-
because what you said earlier, I think, is because it gives the impression the show is happening and hopping when you have a hard time getting down the aisles.
I think you have your hands full.
Yeah.
18 spaces,
Yeah.
10 by 10.
No. They're giving us
18 bikes.
They're giving us all we want. It's 18. They're giving us 18 bikes, and we can take up as much room as we like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're giving us the
Well,
Cadillac
I'm
package.
just thinking, like, if they give you 18 10 by 10 spaces.
No, they're not. giving us-
And making you sign a contract that says you have to populate them.
No.
Because
they're
that's
giving
what they
us-
do.
The contract says that we will bring in 18 bikes.
Because if you don't.
Right.
You know what though?
Yeah.
We should, because every year that I've been in and saw you
Right.
there or done whatever, everybody's like, "Where are you guys? What are you
Right.
going to do?" We should set up the table
Yeah.
and set up the podcast
Oh, I agree.
situation.
Totally.
And then do a podcast
Yeah.
for a couple hours.
I totally agree.
But
except
promote
for
it to the point
room
that we-
sounds like shit.
Can you fly a drone
You could just
around
be doing fake podcasts the whole
all
time.
the time. You can
And
just
everybody
invite
comes
people.
by,
Yeah,
they
that's
feel
it.
like, oh shit, I'm going to be on the podcast.
there? Oh yeah.
Maybe.
And record
many
all
you
of
are?
it.
Not the worst
in case
idea.
of something usable.
How many bikes?
How are we
did you
going to
have last
sneak
year?
booze in there?
Sneak
Same way we always have.
in the gas tank.
Never been a problem.
I wouldn't even say we
scooters,
sneak it in.
Chris.
It's like walking.
Why would you want to fuck with a proven program like we've had? Somehow every year, magically, booze and Taco Bell just shows up, and they don't sell either of them in the building.
And one year, White Castle showed up. Thank God. I
Holy
still
shit.
love that
We had
guy.
an apple pie, we had moonshine, we had White Castle, we had oh man, our podcast
need
listeners takes
volunteers.
care of us.
volunteers.
Yeah, we do.
Maple bourbon. fucking
Maple
shit.
bourbon. Oh my god, yeah.
You
So
don't drink brown liquor.
Well, I did
Just
back
drink
then.
He did.
freaking tequilas. Brown as my.
Yeah, right.
Mr. fucking factoid.
technically, that's molasses colored. I would go as far as to say that might even be black.
Let's not get there.
Yeah, exactly. So anybody who is in the Cleveland area that wants to go to the motorcycle show, here's what we're offering. What we're offering is if you put your bike in the show, we're offering a pass for you for all 3 days of the show. Now, here's the good news is you don't have to be there for all 3 days of the show. You just have to drop your bike off on Thursday night or Friday morning.
We got you covered.
We got you covered. I'm going to look after your bike for you. I'm going to put it in the booth where it's supposed to be. I'm going to take care of all the groundwork.
We might even sell it.
Well, that has happened.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Yeah. Yeah. Miracles do happen at the motorcycle show.
It's Christmas.
And yeah, because old bikes do get sold.
Yep.
And people are there that like the old bikes and want to have them again. So if you do have an old motorcycle and you do want to have it in the show, please contact us
We
at
can't
Cleveland
stop you
Moto.
from putting it
Phil,
on eBay.
what's an old bike?
Well, it would be anything 25 years old or older, which means your 95 Katana counts.
Oh boy.
Shit just got weird, didn't it, Nick?
So like a,
There's 25 guys with a can of tunas going, okay.
And you know what I'm going to say is, I am just the guy, by the way, that if you do roll in on your 95 Katana, I'm going to defend your 95 Katana to anybody in the room.
I'll tell you what, if there is an unmolested original 95 Katana,
Yeah, Larry's been riding one around. So Larry, our friend from BCF Cycles,
Okay.
ding, has been riding around a fucking immaculate 94 Katana.
One of those went for good, like the older, like
Oh,
gray.
you mean the actual Katana?
yeah, no, not
the
the actual.
GSXRs.
I'm talking about the
So the first-
GSXR wannabe back in the day.
So the first Katana from the 80s was actually a sport motorcycle. It was a reverse angled headlight against the fairing, styling tour de force.
Yes.
That Suzuki came out with, and immediately you loved it or you hated it, but it was the very first GSXR. And we're going to use that. And when we look at a vintage...
Those have actually gone for some money.
Fuck yeah, they have.
And
And
some
in
of the
fact,
vintage
Suzuki has actually reintroduced a new GSXR Katana. So they have a brand new Katana that has stolen their styling from the old Katana, and they didn't do a terrible job.
Speak up, Cinch.
It's a
You're
good
giving it a thumbs
homage.
down.
You were
and-
with
It's a
me last
Hayabusa.
year. We saw it. The back
We
end
did.
sucked.
It was up on it was up on the dais. It was up on the rotational
Yeah.
thing at the motorcycle show. So they had the new Katana, and then they had the old Katana. So the old '86 Katanas with the two-tone blue and gray seat, and the gold, the gold.
Not a Seika.
Not a Seika, thank you. Right, but the Seika, you can see where the Seika got its lines, right? So that Katana there, dual overhead cam, GSX 750S.
That's a good looking bike.
Those
It's a
are
great
somewhat
looking bike.
desirable.
They're very desirable, and because
desire
it truly is, in my opinion, the ushering in of the truly specific designed to be a sport bike.
I agree.
So well done for Suzuki.
Sport/superbike.
Exactly.
Can we do the thing with the vintage plates on the Suzuki thing this year, please?
Which one?
We put make fake vintage plates.
Yes.
And put it on every model that's been around for
Every
25 years.
DR650,
Yeah.
every
Absolutely. Right.
We
Yeah.
should. We just
We
need to
should.
do that.
We
That would be
absolutely should,
hilarious.
because when you think about 1995, so because of the show this year is at usually last weekend in January, so 1995 is fair game. So since 1995, that's the new Suzuki Katana, by the way. That's
love
the
that tool.
2019.
They fucked the back up.
They did. Well, they did what they do to all modern bikes, and they
I
make
don't
it into
like
a
that
Street
look
Fighter.
in some of the new bikes where
They abbreviate the back end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like a small back end.
Well,
I've seen your wife. You certainly do.
it's got to have the right
I
curve.
have seen my wife.
That's it.
Sorry, baby.
Hey.
Direct camera look.
docked.
Look
It's
right into the lens.
it's
I'm-
docked.
I'm sorry. It's docked. That's exactly
But what's
the right way to
fucked
say
up
it.
is they got the
It's
front.
docked.
They got the front so right,
Right.
and then they fucked the back up, man.
You can't have everything.
Well, I mean, this is what we're talking about. So when you look at the modern Katana, the modern, tribute to the old Katana, there's a lot of it that's right, and there's a lot of it that's wrong, and it's a tribute. So, this is not the greatest song in the world.
This
It's just a
happens.
tribute.
This happens.
Right. And that's where shit goes different. But we cannot argue the case anymore against
Yeah.
the mid '90s
We
Katana.
have to include it.
And we're saying is that fact is that awful piece of shit is a classic motorcycle now, or at least it's vintage, right?
But this is what I'm saying.
I'd
So
rather have
that,
the Yamaha Genesis, but go ahead.
Of course you would.
But that bike,
not
that
talking-
95 or whatever Katana, the thing that was all fishy looking and stuff, right?
Right.
So
And
if you
exercise
can-
in ovals.
If there is one that exists that is actually 100% stock,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Because that was the Walmart. You couldn't afford a GSXR. You couldn't afford
No,
a CBR.
so you got a
bought-
GSX-F.
Yeah, an
and the
F.
F was for fail.
But then the first thing everybody did was just hack the shit out of it and do
Right.
all this crazy stuff. So
It ain't worth nothing.
Yeah, it ain't worth nothing. Exactly. The
But
F had the boring frame.
Yep.
It was such not a GSXR. But the idea was like it still looked like a sport bike.
It had plastic.
It had plastic. Exactly. And so when you get into those Katanas of that era, it is just like, Hurricanes at the time. When you think about like the Hurricane or a CBR anything R, right?
Well, I love her. I really
Yeah.
would still like to have a Hurricane.
And that's that jelly bean.
A CBR 1000.
Yeah, that jelly bean design.
I know I have one already.
I have a good story.
It's just one of those long
You just got to
plays.
wait for the guy to sell
Long
it to you.
play.
I have a good story.
Go ahead.
So, any of you familiar with Tinkers Creek Park?
Of
in
course.
Bedford?
I've been
All right.
there, seen the
So,
waterfalls.
in the
very
early
nice.
90s, that was the sport bike hangout. Every Saturday morning, you go and there'd be like 100 sport bikes lined up. I was a senior in high school. I saved and I bought a 87 CBR 600 Hurricane. And the dude had a Katana, early Katana, whatever, like
Yeah.
a 90 something Katana. Like, it was 1990, so
It's
it was
a Sword.
whatever.
Yeah.
And so he said it was the greatest bike ever, and we took off and we raced. We were doing 130 through the park, and I saw lights in the back of my mirror, and I'm like, oh, this is probably bad. But we kept going. Well, they blocked the end of the park at Bedford, and they kind of stopped us. He skidded through the grass and kept going, and I was like, fuck. They towed my bike. They literally put straps through the wheels, flipped it upside down, and dragged it away. I got put away in a cop car, And they said, "Do you think your buddy got away?" And I was like, "Yeah, it kind of sucks." He's like, "No, we got cops at his house waiting for him to get home."
Shit!
So when I was dating a girl that I used to have to drive to, whatever the thing, but I got fleeing and evading, resisting arrest, 130 and a 25,
Get the fuck
drag
outta here.
racing, crossing the
130 and a 25.
Oh my shit!
Riding with a friend I got.
God!
there was like
can't
4
drive
stop signs and something else, and I ended up losing my license for almost
Take
2
my
years.
license.
Yeah,
I can't drive.
It was
That
a
is
very,
fucking
very bad
ridiculous.
scenario.
I mean,
You dumbass.
court.
Yeah, no, it was bad. My dad.
Court.
But here's the best part. So you ready? So I get home. The bike's towed. My dad picks me up from jail at Bedford.
Yeah.
And I worked at Fun and Stuff as the go-kart manager because I was the guy.
You were the guy. At
So
Fun
I
and Stuff.
jumped in my 84 Firebird and I started to drive to work. And I got another ticket for 42 and a 35 on the way to work that day.
Fuck you.
So
That was the greatest.
You weren't even clear one ticket yet.
I have a similar story about when I was riding my Super Cub.
Just going
minus the grass crossing.
130 and a 25 on my Super Cub.
Hey,
Kilometers
Steve,
an
Steve,
hour.
we're going to need you to take about 100 off of that story.
There's a dude on an adventure rider that told me the same story about 3-4 weeks ago, and he was going through the same reservation, right?
Yeah.
He's flying around, and the guy pulls him over, and he goes, "Officer, please don't give me a ticket." And the guy's like, "Why?" He's like, "I'm supposed to be cutting the grass in my yard right now on my tractor," and so the guy actually let him off because he didn't want the guy's wife to bust him.
That's fucking
So-
that's adorable.
So so the guy
adorable.
got no ticket for doing 130 on his lawn tractor
That's
because the guy's
fantastic.
like, "How am I supposed to write you up for a ticket for whatever?
Right.
You're on a lawn tractor. Who's going to believe this
That
ticket?"
didn't work
Nobody's
for
going
me.
to believe that ticket at all.
And he got
You're
away.
safe.
They destroyed my bike. They towed it. When they put the straps to the wheels and he lifted up the tow truck, it flipped my bike upside down. And as they drove away, it was smashing into the back of the tow truck.
Oh,
It was not cool, man.
Did you learn your lesson?
not good.
I kind of did. I've never had that many
Then
tickets
again,
at
it was
one
just a
time.
katana.
Never stop.
No, mine was a Hurricane. It was a CBR 600 Hurricane.
I'm trying to imagine myself in that situation. And it'd be hard not to want to kill that tow truck driver.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, it was ridiculous.
You're like,
The
really?
guy was
As
a
fucked
total.
up as my world is right now.
I get it.
Yeah, right. What do I have to
broke
lose?
the law.
Right.
I get it. You get to do your thing. Yeah, sure, you can be rough with my bike. But you literally just fucking hooked my bike up and destroyed it.
They didn't care. They
Your
didn't-
life means
That's a
nothing.
$5,000.
Anybody
chase.
want to hear
that
a?
point.
Anyone like to hear a report from the Lakewood, Ohio police scanner?
Oh,
Yes,
dang.
please.
Can we do this?
We can do this.
All right.
We're going to do this. This may or may not be one of my customers.
What color Vespa was it?
Oh, damn. Purple.
Wait, was it a Browns player?
Hold on.
Okay.
It was not a Browns player. Oh, that would be
No, this guy paid for his bike.
Oh, he still hasn't signed the paperwork yet. Oh, man. So the only person that could get it out of impound would be me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I would. Okay. So,
But he wouldn't get it.
on Twitter, Northeast Ohio Scanner. Apparently, there's this thing. There's this Twitter channel. That's what they call them, I guess. I don't know. There's Twitter feed where a guy just listens to the Northeast Ohio police scanner and then types it in.
Tweets it.
To tweet.
Wonderful.
He tweets
Right.
it. And then people tweet in. But it is kind of interesting because it's like for people who don't want to actually get the scanner app for their phone,
Right.
because there is such a thing.
Yeah, I've had that. I
Yeah,
used to
you
listen
can
to
just
that
get the scanner, the highlights. And so anything that he feels is like awesomely cool, he can then type into the tweet and he'll tweet what's on the Northeast Ohio scanner. So on or about October, I'm not going to say, at about 8 o'clock at night or so, Lakewood, Ohio, pursuit, Clifton, eastbound from West 117th, chasing a small motorcycle or scooter at excess of 70 miles per hour, blowing red lights. Yeah. And people commented on it, and the comments are golden. One is a picture of a raccoon riding a child's push scooter. It's just priceless. And then, of course, there's the obligatory Dumb and Dumber shot
Right.
and everything else. And people are like,
If Chris Zatek wasn't dead, I'd say it was him.
Exactly. And it says scooter at 60 miles per hour. I'm thinking motorcycle, etc. And one of them says Tito blowing off steam because the general manager of our Cleveland Indians is named Tito Francona, and we've sold him a few scooters over the years. So Tito blowing off steam. I just fucking dig it. So that was the first tweet of that. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting that somebody would send me that. That's kind of cool. I dig it. And then we're going to go to tweet number 2. Oh, he stopped in Cleveland, and yeah, he was running from the cops on a Vespa. I can't believe you can get one of those things to over 60 miles per hour. And then we write back, then the comments are something like, going down the Fairmont Hill onto University Circle, you can probably hit 100 miles per hour. And it says, must have been a skinny person. I get my chunky ass on one of those, it's going to be screaming at 25 miles an hour. A Mima says, I used to have a lovely pink Vespa. It hit 60. Somebody else says, my sister could do 60 on hers, but she weighs 90 pounds. And so Corey, whoever Corey is, chimes in, the big engine Vespa will do almost 90 given the chance. Well done, Corey. Yeah, you bring the truth and the thunder. So I'm going to give you the backstory. Now you've had the 2 tweets. So today we got a call from one of our customers.
Was that the guy when I walked in you were talking to?
No.
Okay. Different guy?
Different guy.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
All right. There was felonies involved in that.
Yeah,
too,
there were
so-
in that,
right,
that
okay.
story too, yeah.
Just
So-
one of the many felonies we've been doing.
Apparently, a customer that we have who will remain absolutely nameless.
Bob.
Not even
I'm kidding,
close.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, not even close. Barb. So he's a super cool guy, but we have heard third-hand reports of his driving prowess. From various people that would have commented about they didn't know a Vespa could do that as a result of this guy's commuting or entertaining.
Wow.
Right? And that's cool when you come in and you're like, boy, you were out last night, weren't you?
It's your bike. You bought it.
And right. And it is his bike and he bought it and he'll drive it however he goddamn well pleases. And rock on. So apparently what happened is he'd gone down to this little establishment on Rocky River Drive up there, over by where you live in that area. So he's over there and he's having a steak and a drink or two. And, it's, one of those things that, you just, the afternoon gets away from you. The lunch hour gets away from you. And so the lunch hour gets away from you, and
It's
his
dark
phone,
outside now.
His phone rings, and he looks down and he realizes that it's his wife. And he's like, well, I can't possibly answer a phone call from my wife when I'm not where I live on the other side of town. I'd better close the gap. So I'd better get closer to home before I answer this call from my wife. So he figures, I have a high caliber Vespa. I have a high output brand new Vespa. By golly, by gum, let's give her the beans, as Emma would say.
I'll fix this.
I'll fix this situation. The only difference between time and distance is velocity. And he added a healthy dose of velocity. And he went all the way down Rocky River Drive. Matters nothing to our podcast listeners, except let's just say it's an affluent area. Mm-hmm. And he travels down Rocky River Drive, gets down to Clifton, makes
right by my house.
He's making it right on Clifton.
He had to go right down my house.
Oh, he did. With much enthusiasm.
He pissed in Steve's front yard.
He might have done.
Let's get some.
Open the
Get
valve.
some.
And then he just opened all the taps. And he said, Vespa, frolic, be free. And he did. And apparently, as he says, he was having the time of his life. He was enjoying the ride with extreme prejudice. Yes. He was loving his life at that moment. And when he crossed from Lakewood into the city of Cleveland, then and only then did he notice rollers. Yeah. Blues and twos. The reds and blues. He noticed that he was being spectated by fans that wished to receive an in-person conversation with the majesty of his motorcycle craftsmanship.
So Lakeland doesn't give a fuck, and Cleveland does.
No, it was Lakewood behind him.
All the
They
way.
had decided to leave their fair city and let this
Pursuit. Damn
happen.
diction.
As we like to say, this was a hot pursuit. And hot pursuit. That's the only time I can cross city lines. Hold on, Flash. Okay, so now he looks in the rearview mirror and he sees police cars, plural, and he does what any normal person would do at that point, not being a dick, is he stopped.
Oh, gun it.
He stopped. He stopped. He's a very nice guy. He's a very good guy.
nice.
And he was just having an awesome time. So when he gets stopped, of course he's what do we all do when we stop? We get off the bike. We get off the bike and we put the bike. We get off the bike and we put the bike up on the center stand. Now, there's very few things in the world worse than a police officer at a level 11 adrenaline buzz, which when you get out in the suburbs, it takes a shorter pursuit to achieve level 11 than it does in other places. And that's
like jaywalking old ladies.
well, it is one of those things. Like, I always think that you should hire police officers based on their ability to not give a fuck after being seriously fucked with. And the point being that I used to be a police officer, and I would see people in a very small, minor pursuit getting really super duper excited. And so it turns out that this particular guy who was doing nothing more than traveling eastbound at a
Higher rate of speed.
No, at a
Exorbitant.
awesome rate of speed, or let's just say a totally fun and exhilarating
Ludicrous?
speed. No, I'd say just plaid. he's gone plaid.
But as a former cop,
Yeah.
if you rolled up on a dude on a Vespa doing 80 miles
Again,
an hour,
I would never call that in.
No.
you'd just be like, fuck yeah, dude, right on.
I would literally be like, you know what? I'm going to follow this guy
Yeah.
until I'm not allowed to follow him anymore, and then via con Dios, my friend.
Right.
No, that's it.
You've won the Vespa rally today.
Again, I would never call it in.
Right.
I would show the dash cam video to anybody who asked, but I would never call it in.
Right.
Yeah, I'd be a YouTube star, but I would not call in base. I'll be out on Clifton with what I believe to be a moped. Because you know what? Other people listen to that shit.
Yeah, right.
And I'm not going to be the guy who's going to be like, yeah, I need backup. It's 8 p.m. on a fucking Tuesday or whatever, and I'm stopped out here with, fucking Moped Knievel. And so, okay. So he's trying to get off the bike and put the bike up on center stand, as we all would. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to put the bike on center stand, but the police are, meanwhile, telling him to get on the ground and, worship Satan and, cross your hands, cross your
Hey,
legs,
stop. What the hell?
do a push-up, whatever. But it doesn't matter, because once police are agitated, it's very hard to unagitate them.
Just tell them to calm the fuck down.
Chill the fuck down, honey bunny. Yeah, that's it.
Problem, dude.
Dude, did you see the Vespa? I represent no threat to you or your dick. All right? We're good. You're good here, man. You're good. Chill.
This is the most buttery popcorn ever.
It is pretty delicious, isn't it? Yeah. So that, so he does, and apparently his desire to put the bike on the center stand was met with a elbow to the back of the head and two gentlemen jumping on him repeatedly to the point where he had facial contusions, etc. Wow. And then he was wrestled into handcuffs.
Lawyer up.
Yeah, he's not a big dude either. And he was wrestled into handcuffs, and then they found on his person a folding pocket knife with a blade of 2 1/2 inches long.
Oh my God, that's insane.
Which
heard
is
this story before.
in violation of Lakewood. I know a little bit about this
Oh,
story.
really? That's in violation?
Yep.
I thought 3.5 was the limit.
Apparently not.
Not that night.
So this
Right.
would be in violation?
Again, the simple fact that you're holding it.
That's basically a shiv, dude.
No, come on, dude. It's a Swiss Army. That's a Victorinox work knife.
I know.
But the point being that, yes, that would be illegal according to this man's story. So he was arrested for all of the things: reckless op, felonious fleeing and eluding,
weapon.
carrying a weapon. But here's the fun thing. They grab his jacket and they go through his jacket, and he has not one, not two, but at least 3 different varietals of prescription weed.
Yeah.
He has the card. All of his weed, his edibles, his burnables, his ingestibles, whatever he's got, his topicals, they all have the little prescription on them. So the cops are like, yeah, we're not interested in that. But they write him up and arrest him for a 2.5 inch blade. And reckless op, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera,
The
et cetera.
important question: what happened to the Vespa? Did
Well,
it
he went to
fall
jail and the
over?
bike got impounded.
Did it fall?
I don't
over,
know.
or- Okay. I see.
And honestly, yeah, right. The bike got impounded. He went to jail. So he
You
went
might want
to
to turn my mic off while I need to be alone with this popcorn for a little bit.
So yeah, he went to jail and the whole deal. And he had one phone call, and he did ask for a phone call. And apparently, the police that just got done beating him up decided to let him have a phone call. So he called a guy he knows, and then apparently, at 6 o'clock in the morning, the next morning, cooler heads prevailed, and maybe a supervisor watched the tape and realized the guy didn't know he was being followed by the police, and he was just enjoying his fucking time. And they said as much. And they released him with a reckless op ticket. And everything else mysteriously went away.
It's not bad.
That's not a bad outcome. Good for him. I'm glad he knew somebody to call. So he knew somebody to call whose badge was heavier than their badges, I guess. So end result being that he went and got his bike out of impound, and he did get a reckless op ticket, which is 6 points, and which sounds like he probably earned that. Yeah.
But you can take a class and you can do some like loving and stuff to get a few points.
Now, how do you know that?
Spend a
Steve?
couple of days in the motel.
I know about some of
That's
that.
exactly it. So apparently that there is a random and rogue Vespa enthusiast running around the west side of Cleveland that now has fucked it all up for the rest of us, because we used to say at the shop, dude, if you're riding a Vespa, the cops just don't want to fuck with you. Again, based on the principle of I don't want to call that in.
Dude, they had a thing going on where people were calling in complaints about scooters scooting around.
Right.
And Piper and I got pulled over one time. Yeah, I was riding my little P125 from my house down around the block. I was going to give her a ride. We're both helmets on.
Your bike is orange.
It's a little orange Vespa.
It's a 125.
He pulled us over. I saw him back there.
Yeah.
I cut a quick right, trying to whoa, maybe he won't see me. And he pulled us over, said, she doesn't have her eye protect. She didn't have her visor all the way
Get
down.
the
It was
fuck
open
out
an
of here.
inch.
Her visor was not completely secured.
Petticoat
That was
junction.
just probable cause.
What the fuck?
I got pulled over with my 5-year-old daughter with a helmet. With the brace that I bought that goes around me
the
and
handles.
barely fits around. And it's like a backpack around her and everything.
Yeah.
And they
Love
said
handles.
that you're only allowed to go 25 with that. And it's just he said that it's not an official law, but it's their policy.
Wait. Okay. One.
Well, they're not
There's
allowed
no
to make
official law.
policy.
There's no official law whatsoever.
I'm not even going to get involved.
But here's
in
where
that.
they could get you. They could say, that's child endangerment.
Right, but here's the other thing. Oh man. So
There is no requirement for a seatbelt on a motorcycle with a child. Your child can be 1 year old. You can put it on the back of your fucking motorcycle as long as it's got a helmet on.
But the same district. So like
Zygote.
I've parked. My wife parked her Metropolitan that we got from you.
Right.
On the sidewalk, against a wall, out of traffic and everything. It's legal.
Right.
2 tickets for
Right.
doing that. And so I'm fighting them, and I actually got to the chief of police, and they said, we don't really have to follow that. It's whatever we decide.
Right. Because that's a state law.
But it has to be a law. It has to be on the books.
Right.
And if the law is not
Show
on
me the
books,
code.
they
Where
can't
is it in the
do it because they tried to give me a ticket for
Right on red.
right on red.
Yeah, right on red.
And, right on red, but also a one-way street. When Graber was a one-way street because a cop lived on Graber, and he didn't want people driving down the street. So I was coming home for lunch.
So he bolted up a one-way street sign.
Yeah, and I came up. I was on the same scooter I rode tonight. I came up there. I saw he was all the way down the street. He went around the bend.
Yeah.
And I saw the brake lights coming on. I'm like, here we go.
Here we go.
Because I know he was going to stop and give me shit. So I came around the corner and he's like, hey, I'm going to give you a ticket. This is a one-way. This is a not a through street.
Right.
And I said, it's not a law. And he's like, no, it's not a through street. I'm writing you a ticket. But I'm going to let you go this time. I'm like, write me a ticket.
Right. Please write me the
I
ticket.
said, write me a ticket because this is...
Because we'll settle this right now.
So I called downtown. I mean, that's when I worked for Lakewood.
Right.
And I said, I called the sign guy, and I said, hey, did you make a sign up?
Did you make a sign for somebody?
Yeah. And he said, yeah, I made a sign up for him because he didn't want people driving down the street.
Yeah. Wow.
And so the next day,
Yep.
sign gone.
Oh, the sign's gone. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of those things, too. It's just, it's unfortunate. So, yeah. Game on.
You know,
Cop screwed
I'm a
with
pretty
the wrong guy.
law-abiding citizen.
No, I don't care.
I rarely put the
still,
E250
why
through its
would you do
paces.
I've never been behind you going over the speed limit ever in time we've been riding
No,
together.
because you don't know where I am.
Right.
I
Point
have no
is,
idea where.
Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
out of our jurisdiction. The first comment out of the ranger's mouth was, I'm not going to call this child endangerment, but...
I'm not going to call this child. Okay.
You're going to bring the game to that level.
Right.
Out of the gate.
Right.
You know?
And first of all, don't ever do that. Don't ever say, I'm not going to call you an asshole, but.
Right.
But you're an asshole.
Because you've already done it.
Yeah.
Right. It's a bad human tactic.
I'm not a racist guy, but
But
Right.
exactly. It doesn't get any better from
I
there.
don't think scooters are Oh my.
Right. I've never raped a girl, but
Yeah, right.
look at there's nothing you can say after that's going to make the situation any better. So I'm not going to call this child. You know what? I'd have more respect for you if you
Is there
did.
a
wish
different
he had.
conjunctive you could use though to make it better?
Well,
To
you
make
could.
it better, exactly.
Phil, I got you this
And
birthday present,
I'm not a
but
racist and-
I got you this too. So that
Or
Start the
Although-
I got you this birthday, but
I don't normally like the taste of dick in my mouth, but
although
but if it's seasoned correctly,
a little Montreal,
if it
goes
has
a long way.
If it has Smith's fucking drink on it, I
Yes,
might
it does.
consider it.
By the way,
So,
I need a
you know,
little tune-up of that,
all right.
and then we better get some of the black. Get some of that molasses.
once you go
Make sure you do
molasses,
it
you never
right.
go back.
Never, once you go molasses, you never go molasses. Take that. Yes, avoid alliteration
Well
always.
spelled.
Yeah.
So Piper and I had a second encounter with that
Lovely
same
stuff. I gotta
officer,
stay away from it.
and this guy is pretty gung ho and like what he's a motor
Stadenko?
officer.
Was his name Stadenko?
Oh, hold on! Now we don't do that on this podcast.
No,
Decaf?
Dick Stanko?
but he
think
was
his name was Dick Stanko.
set up over in the kind of like the west end of Lakewood, where we come from. Grant, we were riding the CM.
Nobody in the podcast cares.
I know. We were riding the CM 200 from Grandma's house back to my house.
Right on.
Riding a little bit dirty.
Over the river.
I didn't have a plate on it.
You're riding a CM 200 with no license plate at all.
Already no plate.
It had a plate, but it fell off. It was a temp plate
Yeah.
that expired,
So had the plate been there, it would have been useless anyway.
but it was a vintage plate that I had, but I couldn't find anywhere.
Oh, okay.
Those are hard
Fair
to
enough.
find.
So the bike is legitimately registered.
There is a registration somewhere,
It is registered. It's just-
Somewhere.
there's just no plate on it.
but look, cop. You're the guy with the computer. You find the registration.
Well-
it's not my fucking job.
So I see the guy.
love it when you
He's
say
set
that.
up doing traffic right here at an intersection, like obviously just trying to catch people. I saw him 2 blocks away, so
Right.
he's not really set up very well for sneaking up on people. We pulled up to the stoplight. He's sitting right here. I'm like,
Yeah.
Piper,
Wave
at him like and
Right.
smile.
Right. Be
When we
cute.
pulled
Be
the-
adorable.
We
Throw
pulled,
candy.
pulled the Phil move.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just want you to wave at him and everything.
Wave at him like you know him.
Hey, we're having a great day.
His brain can't process that. The cop mind can't handle that. They're expecting deception.
I try to take off as
Right.
easily as possible and kind of like
Oh yeah.
have the bike angle as we go by
Right, right.
him. If I could have
Don't
sort
show
of
him your
like,
ass.
Piper, put your leg where the license plate should be. Yeah.
and she waved, and I'm like, he's gonna light me up.
Yeah.
He's gonna light me up.
Yeah. Fair game.
Like, he's not lighting me up.
Yeah.
He didn't light me up.
No.
All right.
Do you know why?
Woo!
It fucks with the cop brain. I'm telling you. They're so used to getting shit on. They're so used to getting hated that if you give a cop a little love, it does screw them up for a second.
She waved at him like she loved him.
Exactly.
Like, hey, Mr. Policeman, we love
I
you.
do
You
that all
got
the
a
time just
motorcycle,
as
we
a
got
courtesy
motorcycle.
thing.
Right.
Like when I see a park ranger or whatever, I just give him a toot because
Yeah.
I was doing something else.
Oh, believe me, I fucked your park over, pal.
But but thank you very much and have a nice day.
Yeah, I fucked your park while you weren't looking. I
seem
fucked
to-
your park.
they
And
seem
now
to
that your park's
appreciate
been
that.
properly fucked, I'm going to wave at you and thank God you didn't catch me 20 minutes ago when I was fucking your park.
And I
Rangers
used the
are usually
tissue and
pretty
wiped
cool,
up the dabbles, so you're
I just
good.
grab the
The
curtains.
Rangers are like the. I mean, they
The
don't want to
Rangers
really-
have as much arrest authority as state troopers
Yeah.
do.
And
Do
Rangers
not
have to
underestimate
re-up
them.
on their PT test every year.
Yes, they do. Never underestimate a park ranger. That is one of the hardest jobs because they do deal with every kind of law enforcement. Oh, yeah. So
But they're cool. I mean, it seems like
they seem to be unusually cool, and maybe it's because their surroundings.
They're like the anti-stormtrooper. You know, like the state,
Yeah.
the state troopers are
Exactly.
like the hard asses.
Right. Where do you patrol? I patrol East Cleveland. Where do you patrol? Rocky River Reservation. Dude.
We're like jumpers.
Yeah, okay.
Jumpers
All
are our biggest excitement.
There's no joke. There were 3 renegade kayakers last week, and they would not stop paddling.
Look, we have a rogue gang of Canadian geese. No, those are Canada geese, motherfucker.
serious shit.
Those aren't
So-
Canadian geese. Those are Canada geese.
So, Nick, you said you had a tech tip.
Get out.
1 hour, 33 minutes,
More than
thrown
a
under the
minute?
bus.
Deception. Jeez.
All right.
Is this really what you want for the listeners?
I don't have a tech
We want
tip.
only the best for our listeners.
There's one guy
It's
out
gotta be
there
a
begging
tech tip.
for it.
What kind of
so
tech
bring
tip
him the
can you
head.
Well, Nick brought training aids.
Yeah, you brought something.
Yeah.
What's that little turn signal
He brought
looking thing?
metal.
Oh, this is
So
just
you brought that some weeks ago. You showed
Yeah.
us your little. It's basically a brake press that you can put in a vise.
Yep. Yep.
And if anybody's had a vintage Vespa, you know that the seat post goes up and there's 2 screws in front of it to hold the gas tank. So you've made what, Nick?
This is a rear turn signal bracket that bolts under the seat. So there's the one hole for the
Seat mount
the
thing?
seat mount thing,
Yeah.
and then the
You mean
two
the
for
seat
the
spike?
Seat spike,
Yep. and the 2 for the gas tank bolts. And this just sort of sits there under the seat, and it holds 2 turn signals.
Is that laser cut stainless steel?
It is laser cut stainless
Holy
steel.
shit!
Put your eye out with that shit.
We're all
I
here
wanna-
bullshitting about shit, and
I
Nick
need-
is working with fucking
I need
lasers.
to start
He's
giving you
made stuff.
drawings to take into work to make shit like this.
That's
and-
artisanal.
Like, look at that.
That's a work of art, Nick.
Finally,
Don't try to mount that to a
lasers.
Vespa because it won't
Amish
fit.
lasers.
But
Whoa! Wait a second.
Wait,
Did I ever tell you about the Amish
you just said
electrician
it's
that
for
burned down
It's
a
for a
house?
Vespa.
I mean, it is
Well, why won't it fit?
It's
because I
for.
designed it wrong.
You dumbass!
talking
What the
about?
fuck were you doing?
What do you mean you designed it wrong?
What does?
I said don't try to fit it to a Vespa because it won't fit.
And you did it anyway?
Well, that's the prototype.
again,
It's
I've got
a
one of those.
so the problem is
prototype.
Mine's crushing.
the posts for the turn signals are too long, and they're going to hit the frame of the Vespa, right?
They're
Yeah.
they're too
They're too
inward.
close.
Yep.
Yeah, they're too close.
Yeah, they need to extend those a little bit. Yep. Yeah.
Still pretty sexy, though.
So
Oh,
how's
it's
the
sexy.
Vespa doing? I know
They
you
just have to
dropped
mount it this way, Nick.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Problem
Inverted.
solved.
That could work.
Bing.
There you
Uncle
go.
Only touch your stuff.
Hey, that's free of charge. We
This
don't
thing
charge
weighs
you.
about 6 pounds.
Yeah, just mount it. Just mount it upside down and run a sexier seat.
How's
Yeah.
the Vespa going? We
Are
know
these,
you,
no
in,
seat.
are
we
these
know you
incandescent
dropped it a
lights?
couple times this
Yeah,
year.
yeah. It's in my dining room now.
As it should be. It's
Well,
winter.
yeah, that's the only way I'm gonna work on it over the winter.
Right. This is exactly.
So
These are
How single is Nick? Well, he has a Vespa in his dining room. Well done, Nick.
Well
that
done.
explains a lot.
Does it have a
but-
buddy seat on it?
So,
Oh, the simpler times.
to remain relevant, because all the motorcycle blogs, all the motorcycle podcasts,
Yeah.
all the motorcycle everything right now
Looks nice.
are doing the best presents for under $50 for your motorcycle family.
Cheap fuckers.
And I figured since Phil owns a motorcycle shop and sells wares
What's
and
it called?
things and other items,
Under
so,
$50.
Of course, if you're rich, come in and buy a scooter. But if you're not, what are some of the things that you can get your motorcyclist pal, fiance, loved one, or whatever for under $50? Anybody have ideas? What? Okay, Mr. Smith.
Exo Cafe
Captain
Patron.
Eric and Captain
Bing.
Craig.
$49.99.
Oh my goodness! Look at this.
What's up?
Damn, that's Bosch.
Wow!
Dude, I am not worthy, whatever this is.
OMG.
Wow!
Friggin' God.
Wow! What a segue! This was like
Holy
the best segue.
shit.
I'm
Bring it
glad
closer.
I did.
Just stick it right in there.
This is
There.
going
I'm glad
straight
I
up in
decided
my
to come to the podcast.
I was about to say cheap helmets, but this is better.
No, I could get some helmet off of this.
This was not planned, by the way. This was a great
I'm not
segue
even
for
going to open this. I'm
something.
going to
This
hand
is
this straight to my
amazing.
wife.
All right.
It's stuffing in a hot
gift
dog.
thing.
There's just no 12 in there.
Well, exactly. And you know, it does go from 8 to 13.
Oh, wait.
Right. So,
Wait,
yeah.
this isn't good.
This isn't good. This is terrible.
I'm missing my 10 millimeter.
No, it's in there. There's a 10.
It came pre-missing the 10.
Somebody already used it. They've already
No,
used
it's,
all
just,
the 10
it's like you
millimeters.
can tell it's a real mechanics toolkit if there's no 10
This
millimeter.
is sexy
So wait,
as
so
hell.
the people that can't see this, that
Yeah.
aren't watching the video, what just happened, Phil?
Does this help?
So yeah, what I decided to do
comes off.
was I saw a tool that I liked, and I decided why buy one when you can buy 12,
That's how
and I bought
felt.
12 of them. And so you guys can each have one. And I have one, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Thank you, Phil.
You're welcome. You guys
Thank you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
geez,
One of
Phil,
the
that's
things
very
that this
generous.
is really
I appreciate
awesome
it.
for
Merry
is
Christmas.
on carburetors having this little thing
That's
with the
why
thumb
it exists.
tool
Yeah.
and putting the right bit in there, getting
Fuel
into
mixture?
a car.
It's
Yes.
the only thing
Yeah.
that can get to. Yeah, I have it on good authority. Nick is demonstrating it. I have it on good authority
How many teeth do you think that is?
a lot. Yeah, it has a lot of teeth.
But
That's amazing.
how many motorcycles can this fit underneath the seat?
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah, the idea of the whole concept of that little Bosch toolkit is it has all your your Phillips head bits. You have probably 3 or 4 more in there than you really need.
So we got your sockets, we got your Phillips head,
Yeah.
we got your 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
we got your 1, 2, 3 Torx.
And your Torxes are in there, and all your Allen heads are in there
You got
that
your
are
most
up
common
to.
Torxes. You do not have a Torx 27.
No, No, there's no T27 in there.
But there is a T20, a T25, and a T30.
But there's storage space underneath here to put.
You could hide one in there if you had
You
to.
could always
Exactly.
put 27 in there if you
But
need it.
these little Bosch kits. Bosch has started doing a lot of these weird little specialist fetishy kits. So if you do want to go to the Bosch catalog, Bosch has this year started producing some of these weirdo. And this is like almost specifically designed for what we do.
Yeah.
And it's a funny
mind
little
corner.
thing. And then also if you have, your standard
Slowly
impact
showing.
driver, or your, Milwaukee or whatever you would use, these all fit in the Will Fuckies. Yeah. So,
Sorry, Chris.
yeah.
Can you
Game on,
open
brother.
mine for me, Nick? I can't
Oh,
get mine
yeah,
open
yeah.
either.
Would
I
you
see
pull out my damn it pin?
So
my
lovely.
fingernails aren't strong enough.
Chew it off with your fucking teeth.
You have a
Jesus
gift.
Christ. The
You're like the pin whisperer.
totally the pin whisperer.
Thank you,
Hey, there's
Nick.
a thing called the One Show in Portland. So February 7th, 8th, and 9th, I believe it is. The One Show. I've never been, and historically it's been in this old pickle factory. Not making that up. That's not a euphemism. That's not code. Meet me at the pickle. Meet me
like
behind the
dill.
pickle factory. God damn it, Dill. The
Latex is amazing.
that's exactly. So yeah, the One Motorcycle Show in Portland.
Salty.
It's so salty. Oh, it's just brine. But yeah, so I'm going this year. So I decided I would. Some of the Motorcycles and Misfits, the guys from the Motorcycles and Misfits podcast, Emma, Mikey 3 times, Fuck Knock, all these
Mikey
guys.
3 times.
They call him Mikey
Three
3 times.
times, 3 times, 3 times, 3
No,
times.
Mike's a pretty amazing guy. He's a Jersey like MMA fighter that ended up in Santa Cruz and is one of the sweetest human beings I've ever met. And he started, he got to Santa Cruz and discovered he was an artist. So not kidding, he hand tools leather, he paints. Wow. He's built gorgeous motorcycles. And his wife's a fucking angel. They do an Airbnb. Merritt stayed at their Airbnb, and he's just a really sweet guy. They just had a kid, and I like Mike a lot. He's fantastic, but he's been entering his motorcycles that he's put together in shows, and he's been winning awards.
Good for him.
And he just got a Harley. It's his first Harley. I think he actually won a Harley and realized the Harley was a shitbox that he won, and he got rid of that and upgraded to a real one. And but yeah, he's done some really cool stuff. If you're a Motorcycles and Misfits listener, he's one of the he's not on the show as much anymore because guess what? He's trying to have a life and a kid and the
He
whole
doesn't
deal.
sleep anymore.
Right. Well, look at him, one kid.
So is the show a motorcycle show, or is it like an art show?
So
or is
one
it-
is a motorcycle show that is an actual motorcycle show. And then they do the racing, they do the flat tracking, and Steve did. So they do the indoor flat track.
Oh, that guy? Oh, that was sick. I thought you were stupid that week.
That was the funnest thing I've ever done.
I totally blew that off, but looking back on it, I was wrong.
I think
If they bring it back, the Grim will be modified to race at that. I'll put slicks on that
I want
bitch.
to do ice
Can I take
racing
the
this year.
XR100 there?
You said, let's talk about the winter motorcycle
winter events. Yeah.
Somehow we should go out on
I am
even if it's just
completely-
one stupid Sunday when it's frozen over,
Yeah.
that we wrestle ourselves out onto
Yeah.
there.
And since we have the hookup,
we
I
have
mean,
so many ways of making fire and flame and heat. And
I do have an E350.
something.
So I have an E350 with seats in it.
Yeah, I got a trip.
How did that trip go?
And we have a
by the
big
way?
trailer too.
We can all shit.
How did your trip go?
I know
It went pretty
sometimes
good.
we talk about these things
pretty
and then
good.
they never happen and everything.
But I mean, we've got
I really want this.
parked
to
out
happen.
front is Kromke's trailer. So we got Kromke's trailer, which will hold 200.
It's easy for you to say.
Kromke's trailer. We got Kromke's trailer with the trailer.
15.
Loosely speaking.
Take 3.
I don't slur my speech. I'm
There's
speaking
this-
in cursive, and it's fucking sophisticated.
Yeah, I love your S.
The new kids will not be able to understand you.
That's right. Fuck you. I'm speaking in cursive.
Signatures of smiley
So we got
face.
the big ass trailer out there, which has a heater on the roof if we have a place to plug it in.
Wow.
I have a big generator.
Also, so combine our assets. Our assets are we have a trailer that hauls a lot. We have a 15-passenger Ford Econoline with 2 TV monitors in it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
gun rack.
Well, bring BYO gun rack, and then and we have us with a bunch of stupid little bikes
That fills all the seats.
again. So yeah, right.
Kids Quad.
Right. So anybody's got a?
Badger. I got a Badger.
Does anybody have a 8mm bit?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now
Check
you
me
can,
out.
You can put in all the fucking ice bits in your fucking tires.
That's like $20 for 250 of these. fucking studs.
250 fucking ice studs
Bargain.
in a piece of shit old knobby tire,
Well,
and
you got
now
that
you
top.
are on the ice,
I got
baby.
50 old tires. You want them?
No, I don't.
Damn it.
But again,
$3 a
right.
piece. They won't get rid of them.
So I think, yeah, I
I'm
think
saying
it should be
$500 Goldwing, $220 worth of.
$500 gold wing.
Speaking of gold wings, you missed out on the greatest video I've ever seen
thought
when
that's what you were
Phil,
talking about.
Phil played.
I think he was here.
What, were
He
you
saw the
here?
gold wing jumping.
You didn't see the gold wings?
No.
Are you fucking high as a kite? I was here.
was
I was
here.
sitting
He
right,
was
here,
right
you
here.
motherfucker.
Watching him
He
do
was so
jump
absorbed
GL
with the gold
1100s.
wings. He
Chris wasn't here. Steve wasn't here.
No, they weren't here.
But anyway,
That's
yeah.
right.
Jesus, HK.
So I do think
You
that we
weren't
should.
cuddling me, so anytime you're not
Woof.
cuddling me, I
I do
forget
think that
you're-
we should take our friend up on the offer. We
Spooner-vision.
should go to Toledo and we should go out on the ice.
Yeah.
100%.
All right.
all the way to Toledo.
Road trip.
I'll do it.
That's where he lives. I mean, so
I'm not going to say no.
I just saw a dude post that he had
Yeah.
the Honda 70.
Yeah.
But he put the 190 replacement 5-speed
Yeah.
little motor into
Right.
it. That would be fun on the
I
ice.
think that on the ice, a 50cc Honda Metropolitan would be adequate.
What a PW80.
Again, why the fuck do you want to be going so fast when you crash?
No, I don't.
I don't. I think I want to have like the maximum number of layers of insulation on me.
Slide to
ground.
Canada.
You're going to have to have that anyway because you're going to freeze your dick off.
If I two-stroke skateboard, I'm good.
Exactly.
I'm thinking about like.
I'm thinking toboggan
Okay,
pulled
about
behind a
15,
quad.
about 15 to 20 minutes of ripping around in
Yeah.
a little circle.
Yeah.
Then go back to the fucking
For
hut,
alcohol therapy. Yeah.
Drink the
Right.
fuck, drink
Yeah.
your brains out for a good
Anesthesia.
hour.
Right.
You're on
Go back-
international waters. You can
Go
drink.
back out for about another 15 minutes till somebody wipes their ass.
That's true, Nick. We do have to go out past international waters. Thank you very much.
We're going to need a snow
If
cat.
you're going to arrest me, you better be riding a horse and have a round brown hat.
We got to get off our
Yeah.
continental shelf.
Could you go out on the lake from the ramp in
From my house, I have done it many times. Yeah.
So is it accessible in the winter?
No. What has happened for the past 25 years I've lived out there is the Miller Boat Landing has got the best ramp, and Avon Lake Park also has a pretty goddamn good ramp. But when you get down there, the ice pushes in. Ice moves, ice gets bigger and moves into shore. And when it encounters non-movable objects,
Oh, it makes a lump,
like ramps,
like
it makes
a-
these big heaves. And the people who live out there, and the ice heaves, whatever, but you can't get a fucking bike over them is what it comes down to. And by my house where where you guys have all been out to my place, by our pier, when we go in, we can go right in off the pier. So the way the pier's set up, by design or whatever, is you can kind of walk off the pier onto the ice. And the problem, though, is local information. We have icebreakers that run from Detroit to Erie, PA, to keep a certain lane open. And those guys run as much as they possibly can. And it's their job to keep that shipping lane open.
I thought they went to Buffalo.
They do, actually. Yeah, they do. They keep the entire thing all the way to Buffalo because then you can get into the St. Lawrence Seaway. So you can get freight even in February from the east coast of America through the St. Lawrence Seaway, down through past Montreal, Quebec City and everything else, go all the way down into Lake Ontario and all the way to Lake Erie and get freight all the way to Detroit because science. And as a result, we can no longer walk to Canada the way that we did when we were kids. So, but what John's talking about is they have an area between Sandusky, Toledo, and the islands, so South Bass, Middle Bass, and Pelee Island, where they will actually put dead Christmas trees, like the ones what are used in people's homes, out on the ice to create a, quote, lane marker.
Because also the ice sheet is anchored by
Yes.
the islands.
Exactly.
So, back in the day, it used to be like, hey, guys drove their cars out on
Yep.
the ice. They were out ice fishing. They go home.
It happens at my house
and
all the
they're
time.
fucking
Yeah.
a mile from the ice sheet has moved offshore, and now they can't get off the ice.
Usually they send helicopters for that.
That's
and
not good.
No, it's
and
not
leave
good.
their cars sink to the bottom.
Here's an interesting tech tip for people who live in that part of the world. Every once in a while, we'll see.
Don't do it.
In January or February, we'll see the helicopters going out, and the helicopters are going out because my idiot neighbors will run their quads out on the ice to go ice fishing, and they'll have like $9,000 worth of Sportsman's Guide supplies to catch a $3 fish, and
Value for money.
exactly tents and wagons and sleds and all kinds of shit behind a quad or whatever. And what happens is invariably they end up getting where they're not supposed to be. And when the Coast Guard picks you up, the rule is we're saving your life. You're not allowed to go back for your property. And if you go back for your property, then we're allowed to fine you infinite amounts of money, whatever. We'll give you one because you're dumb, but we're not going to bring your shit back, just you. And people always try to go back for their shit. Right. And when they go back for their shit, that's when they get super duper arrested. And this happens every year. We see the helicopters go out, and then it's in the police blotter that, 5 idiots were rescued. And then and then the next day, one idiot was arrested because he tried to go out with, a boat or a quad or whatever.
Back to the exact same spot where they were originally rescued.
Exactly. Where nobody would ever think to look there.
I'm taking my daughter's quad runner that I bought $100.
Yeah.
I'm going to tow my canoe that I bought for $100 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to drag the canoe out there, and then if shit goes sideways, at least I can jump in the canoe and paddle back to shore.
You better be wearing a quarter-inch Farmer John wetsuit if you're doing that, and that's not even enough.
I don't think we have
sucks.
anything to worry about if we get a good solid snow as we normally do. I'm thinking January, February is probably safe to go off of the coast of Western Ohio and go scamper around on the ice.
Inland Lake. I mean, whatever we have to do.
No, you don't want to go on Avon Lake. I made the
Inland Lake.
Inland Lake.
Yeah.
Thank you. Inland.
But
Mosquito Lake.
also,
yeah.
but you're talking about you just came. We have nothing here. We
Right.
have no snow here.
Yeah.
You just came from Buffalo,
Yesterday.
3 hours away.
Yeah.
Yesterday, which
Shit
has-
hammered.
Right.
Shit hammered. I mean, an
always
absolute
get
blizzard.
killed.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing.
End of
I
the
drove
week.
through Buffalo at 11 o'clock, and it was like, oh, there's snow out there, and the roads were clear. And then I drove through at 1 p.m., and it looked as though somebody called in a tactical snow strike on Buffalo. You couldn't see. What the shit are you doing over
A
there?
little sexual frustration.
Wow.
Working it out.
My God, man.
We were driving
Deep
people out of the
lately.
camp in the winter one time
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
Buffalo, so there was no snow on the ground in Ohio. I get off 90, where like the turnpike, where and Buffalo doesn't have a toll road.
No.
So
New
by
York
the
State
time
Thruway.
I got from off the toll road to getting on the toll road back again,
Yeah.
I had 18 inches of snow on my hood, and my wipers wouldn't work anymore. I had to
Nobody-
get off at the toll booth and pull the snow off my hood.
Nobody does snow like Buffalo.
No, it's
I give them credit.
unbelievable.
You could be like, I live in Chardon, I live in the snow belt.
Hey.
Anybody in Buffalo is seriously like, whatever.
That's like a dust
Cool
thing.
story, bro.
My best snow story was going from Cleveland back to Mercyhurst College in
Yeah.
EPA from Cleveland.
Yeah.
And the po-po were waving everybody off of 90 because it was such a heavy,
yeah.
it was a whiteout.
Right.
And we were in my wife's at the time, had a Nissan Pathfinder.
Right. Yeah. Trash
And
finder.
and they had just started waving everybody off, and we said, nah, we're good.
We're going to go.
So we were the only ones. Everybody else went on.
Clear
We're
road.
like, no, we're good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm in four-wheel. I'm like, and we're trucking, and there's not anybody out there, and there was literally well over a foot of snow on Route 90.
Yep.
You couldn't tell what lane you were in. There was
It doesn't
nothing.
matter what lane
We
you're
were
in.
the only, there was a foot of fresh snow. We're just 45,
Dude, I got the
45
fresh
mile an hour,
pow,
just-
baby. I got the fresh pow.
It was super awesome, though. It was like, hey,
When I was in college, I was going to go skiing up in wherever in New York or something, and we headed out 90. And same thing, like the snow hit right when we get Buffalo. It's like a foot deep.
Yeah.
It was pitch black, and you're driving. All of a sudden, I see brake lights, which I was like, "What's going on?" And a semi had flipped over and like.
Oh, they're so
blocked-
cute when they're sleeping.
Blocked the whole road, but it was so dark you couldn't see.
Oh,
it.
God damn.
So like everybody puts their blinkers on and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
and you can't move a semi. You're just stuck. Like
No, it's a rave at that point.
yeah, right.
Yeah, you're in it. I hope you brought liquor.
what was in the
swirling
semi?
snow?
What's that?
I have a problem in the swirling snow because I feel like I'm upside down.
Okay.
I don't know why that is. It's something with my eyes. So my wife is screaming. We're driving along.
My wife is screaming.
It's
all the best stories start with my wife was screaming.
no. It's like you have this swirling snow.
You're in,
like-
the, you're
and
in
I
the
feel
Bigfoot
like
tunnel
I-
with Steve Austin, the $6 million man.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm upside down. And all she's screaming at me is, "Go faster! Go faster! Go faster!" And I'm like, I feel like I'm
Really?
driving like this. Hold on.
Oh my
I'm driving
God.
like this.
Be careful.
Oh my
And
god!
then she was like, Steve, I don't
And
think
I was, I mean, what am I supposed to do? I'm like, I'm totally disoriented now. It's like flying a plane at night over Lake Erie.
She's like, Steve, I think the mushrooms you grow organically are not what you thought they were, bro.
no, I don't know what it is. It's like I literally feel like I'm 180 degrees inverted.
Yeah, wash your grapes.
But there's nothing.
Yeah. The grapes were bad.
There's nothing better though than driving through snow like that and getting the Millennium Falcon thing. Where it's like,
Yeah. And that's where you start losing. Like you're like, okay, I'm focusing 300 meters ahead.
Right, you have to. Yeah.
And then I'm like, why am I looking at the front bumper of my car? Like, why am I only looking at the hood? What happened to the keep focused 300 meters ahead? What happened to that? Why am I looking at the end of my hood?
So these are all skills that we have learned because we're retards,
Right.
And we drive in this bullshit.
Yeah.
My
But
brother.
there's a ton of people that will just put their emergency lights on, pull under a bridge, and stop.
I know.
But the however many of us there
Well,
are
that's why
here,
when you see the
like, can we
flashing
just
lights
go?
on the left and flashing lights on the right, you just shoot for
Yeah,
the middle. You
hit the
shoot for
middle.
the gap.
Thread the needle.
You just run the fucking needle, man.
My brother Dave was a UPS driver
Right,
for
yeah,
28
for ages,
years.
yeah.
28 years.
Yeah.
So he is, and he did a back rural route, 100 miles, 100 stops every day,
Damn.
through the most brutal, every kind of fucking weather and shit. And he is the most terrifying person to ride in a car with.
Does not care.
And don't even give him something that can handle. I
Right.
mean, he's terrified.
He's
to
used
ride
to
in
big
a
brown
bread
trucks.
truck. He drove a bread truck like it was fucking Mario Andretti for 28 years.
The guy
Give
told me
him a
put it in
small
D and
car,
pray.
And he used to take me out. He had, I think it was a fucking Pontiac Sunbird, at the time. Like, and he would go out on a hell ride on a backcountry road. And I'm just going to go on record. I was very young. We were both very young. We blaze up. It was always part of the thing. It was like, so now you're already fucking stoned off. You're out of your mind.
You should be on
Right.
the
And
couch.
kind of paranoid. What does he do? Floors it on a backcountry road, takes it up to about 65 miles an hour,
Yeah.
throws the e-brake, turns it sideways, and does multiple fucking pirouettes.
Yeah, he does it.
360.
He does a Tony Hawk. A Tony Hawk in the middle of the woods.
So
Yeah.
720, baby.
Takes the e-brake back off, and
Right.
what? And you're just like,
And it's sunbird.
Well, it's aerodynamic. It sent the snow over it. That's what it did. That was the whole
I like
point.
driving without my lights on. I don't know why.
Oh, sure.
No, I don't know why I love that, but I mean, I
Just
can
the
see in the
parking
dark.
lights, the little
pretty
glow.
So
well.
you guys all got to see my, don't call it a Previa,
Right.
right? So, one of my latest acquisitions from Japan is a 1994 Toyota Estima Lucida. And it's a turbo diesel 5-speed minivan.
Sounds
right?
amazing.
It does have it's got the whoop whoop. It's got the whoop.
yeah.
It's like turbo whoop. Yeah, it's when you hit the gas. Whoop. It's fun. I like it. But so the reason that car exists, the reason why I had to have it, is not too many years ago, not a lot of years ago. In fact, Facebook just reminded me that it was it was about 6 years
Thanks for
ago,
the
7 years ago.
love.
Thanks, reminder. Thanks, Facebook. That I had this really beautiful Toyota Previa. Now, if you don't know what Toyota Previa is, go in your
awesome.
kitchen and get out an egg. And
Oh,
now
is this
look
a-
at the egg, and you look at an egg, and you go, I wonder if this egg could be a minivan. And you go, okay, put some wheels under it.
Was
You've
this
just
the
made a Toyota Previa.
IMS show?
Yeah. So
Oh, okay.
the IMS show, we'd done the build-in for the IMS show and stuff. And now in Cleveland, we have a bit of a tradition here that our IMS show is at the end of January. And because God doesn't like motorcycles, generally what God does is God says, oh, Thursday morning, bright, glorious sunshine. Wow, that's interesting. Thursday afternoon, 93 inches of snow. While we're all trying to push motorcycles into one of the largest buildings in the world. A building so big that if they opened the doors, all of us could drive all of our trucks and trailers into the building at the same time from any vantage point, any orifice. We could all drive in at the exact same time, no questions asked, and unload our bikes on warmed concrete. In the building.
Union rules do not allow that.
But the union rules do not allow that. So you must, in fact, park your shit out in a 12-inch deep snowstorm parking lot and walk your motorcycles across icy, no salt allowed because you're near the airport,
That's fucked.
parking lot, thereby guaranteed to drop your motorcycle and injure all of you. while you're getting it in through a man door because the line up to get through the real door is so long you can't possibly
This
get
is like
in.
the 8th grade homecoming thing I went to.
This is a disaster.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, this is like shooting pool with a piece of rope on a bad night after too much bourbon, and you found out she was a guy 15 minutes ago, and you're going to go for it anyway. So
No.
this is the level of access we're talking about.
Would my PC 50 qualify for the?
Of course it would.
We're all pulling it out.
Of course it would.
I'm thinking I'm going to try to get the Bandit.
You should.
Damn.
And I heartily endorse that. Because again, whether or not their rule says it, my rule says 25 is vintage.
25 is
GS
alive.
450.
GS 450 is brilliant.
Damn.
Perfect.
We
In
all
fact,
have a lady
absolutely.
one.
Yeah, perfect. And I know the guy that can bring it there. And he knows where it is.
Okay, so now
Okay.
you're back
Is it
to your
plugged in?
van.
So we're back to my van. So yeah, they're all plugged in.
whatever.
So
No, was
I'm
the Previa mid-engine or was it?
Previa is a
Okay,
slightly mid and off to the side,
And it was a flat. It was like a flat
Leftish.
2.4, right?
leftish. Huh?
It was kind of like a late.
It's
on
a
its
flat
side
2.4. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The basic way to describe where Toyota decided to put the motor in a Previa was under your passenger's butt. There's no rhyme or reason to where Toyota put the motor in
Which
a Previa.
cheek?
Right cheek.
Okay.
Passenger's right cheek.
Where do you want the motor in this vehicle?
Exactly.
Where's the most difficult place we
Right.
could possibly?
Thank you.
Right there.
Right there. Right.
Not a
exactly.
problem.
Right. I would like to change the timing belt. Great. You'll have to go in through the ocular cavity.
Turn it upside down.
Turn it upside down would be a good start. Exactly. So I had one of these, and so for people who don't know Previas, the one that you want to have is the all-wheel drive with the supercharger. Did Phil say supercharger? Yes, that fucking minivan came with the supercharger. So if you had the LSC, you had the all-wheel drive and the supercharger. And so I had that. And all leather interior, the middle seats rotated around backwards, so you could play cards and shit. And it is the egg, but it was the best thing you could ever get.
best egg.
It was the best egg ever, and mine happened to be Shamu white. So pretty nice car. And I'd left the build-in. I was pretty happy the fact that we'd got done and everything was cool, but I had 11 or 12 inches of new fallen snow in the IX Center parking lot, and I'd never owned a multi-wheel drive vehicle before. This was my first multi-wheel drive vehicle. Everything else in my life that I had owned up to this point had essentially two-wheel drive or one-wheel drive. So the idea of an all-wheel drive vehicle to me was novel. So I decided to explore the capabilities of what a Previa could do in gradually faster circles in the IX Center parking lot. Well, the IX Center parking lot is pretty goddamn big. And in fact, if I told you you'd be hard-pressed to hit something in the IX Center parking lot, I'd be right.
Yep.
Yet, I still managed to find a row of Peterbilts.
Like the semi trucks.
Yeah,
You're an overachiever.
yeah.
That's a lot of Bill Peters.
I can tell you with no reservations what the front bumper, the front fender, and the left side saddle tank, it's like 100 gallons of fuel.
Yeah, right.
I can tell you what those items cost.
Oh, God.
Because it's more than a 95 Previa. Because it turns out my beautiful, totally cherry, immaculate 95 Previa with 73,000 miles on it was not worth as much as
Everything else.
those items on a Peterbilt tractor trailer.
Alcoa
So
is
how
very
does one
proud.
get coaxed into doing this?
Well, mostly it's when you go, this is totally fun. I'm going sideways at full lock.
Who's with you at this point?
No, the Spirit of Christ.
Jesus.
Oh, just you.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, the Spirit of Christ. Yeah, the Spirit of Christ was with me. The move.
So this is an official, this is Phil, no egging on from other drunk people.
No.
This is like you're.
stone sober.
This is like you are like.
Yeah.
This is a good idea. I want this to happen right now.
I think that the idea was, okay, I've got all seasons on here,
Right.
whatever, and I've got a supercharger, and
That
I
fixes
can't
everything.
see. I can't see shit. Can you?
What could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? And I kept doing ever increasingly larger circles, sideways, backwards, leftwards, upwards.
Backwards is fun.
Yes, backwards is fun.
I like that.
As one does.
And at some point, I realized that my velocity in the y-axis was inconsistent with my direction in the x-axis.
Yeah.
And I was frightened of a z-axis.
Yeah.
And so I had
The Z's bad.
I had applied all levels of control with all of my manual and spiritual controls.
Right.
So I had tried full lock left, full lock right. I tried all 3 pedals.
Had patchouli on the dashboard.
Patchouli on the dashboard.
Fuck yeah.
Right, that's exactly it. And I prayed to deities that I didn't know it existed because at some point I was going backwards, sideways, at the same time, in excess of 40 miles an hour.
You hit the Wonka Vader.
I did. It goes upwards, downwards, sideways, yeah. And I did. And I came to an abrupt halt in the middle of a Peterbilt. And, well, the Peterbilt, I should say, was in the van with me.
Right.
Because the entire right rear side of my van had gotten in the car with me backwards.
It's no good.
So the car got inside out. All the glass pieces
Yeah.
decided to leave.
Yeah.
So every part of my car that was made of glass except for the windshield got out of the van.
But not in your neck or anything?
No, they went everywhere.
Okay.
That stuff's amazing. And so when you get into a fast enough collision, all of your glass except for your windshield just evaporates into another time zone.
Imagine taking the Ziploc bag and kind of going,
Yeah, that's kind of what happened. And then let's see, the rear axle, which is by the way 4-wheel drive, so it's all involved in the game. The rear axle tried to get into the van with me. It was pretty cool. Yeah, and
That's solid rear axle, right?
yeah,
But you want to spoon with something like that.
it was pretty rad.
So was there a dude in the truck?
No, there wasn't.
Okay.
No, they park them all and they go fuck off to the to kill strippers in the local motels.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what they do. And so the trucks were all abandoned there, but in a nice, perfect row. And so I was like, okay, I should probably leave a note.
It's very trendy.
So I left a note and I said, if you happen to own this, tractor,
Sorry.
and you have a problem with the way you found it, you should probably call me.
my modifications.
Right.
My name is R.M. Broke.
I noticed that your bush guard in front was a little uneven to the left side, so I tried to help you out a little bit.
And wouldn't you know, this asshole was that guy that's like, totally the Kenny Rogers asshole. That's just like his whole truck is chrome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, everything on the truck was chrome.
Scrape on my
Oh,
gas tank.
man.
I'll need a whole new gas tank.
Oh, you know what? I should have taken all that shit. I paid for it. I should have just had it. I should have just had it.
Realistically, that could be kind of useful to have one of those 100+ gallon gas tanks.
Just
Back
around.
your
Put it in the back of your
I didn't
truck,
make it
so-
leak. I mean, we could have it here.
Yeah.
At
we
that
can
point,
have it
just
here.
hook your 4-wheel drive whatever rig up to that thing and start pulling it across the parking lot. Fuck it.
His
I mean,
thing?
you already bought it. Start making
Hey,
tracks.
baby, guess what? I own a Peterbilt now. Yeah, so long story short, I limped away from it. I called my buddy Shane, who's an excellent mechanic. And I said, Shane, I'm going to bring you something that is going to challenge your definition of repairable.
I got my dad's tool kit.
And he goes, really? What is it? And I said, well, it's a Toyota Previa. And he goes, whoa, what? I was like, yeah, Previa. He goes, you fucked up the egg? And I was like, we're in a really bad way. And so I drove away from there at crabbing is the term I like to use. I was crabbing. And I crabbed away from there in a sense of disgust. And it was colder than fuck.
Windows.
And no windows.
If you really
No
want
goddamn
to
windows.
understand
glass.
crabbing, look at
I had one window
airplanes
left.
crabbing
Yeah,
when they
on landing?
landing in high wind,
Oh,
where they
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
come in sideways.
Doglegging. Doglegging is a very gentle term. Crabbing is more violent, and that's what I was doing. I had one window left. The driver's window was intact because my head didn't hit it. For some reason, my head didn't hit it. And but I went into a Peterbilt, literally direct at its front left
Better than a
corner.
Peterbilt going into you.
Yeah, right.
I feel like you should have maybe got some advice from a lot lizard or something like
Yeah,
that.
it was pretty snowy. There was no lot lizards there.
Like first you got to take off all your clothes. It's winter time. You got to knock on the door, tell them you're freezing to death. Help, just let me in.
There were 11 trucks in the parking lot lined up like ducks in a row, and I am fairly certain I hit the most expensive one. And I also took the van, so I limped the van, which God love Toyotas. This thing drove like a champion.
It was like a dog that got ran over.
It did. It
Still-
did.
it still
You ever
limped
see that
home.
deer? You're driving along, you're like, oh, a bunch of deer. And then the headlights hit them, and then they fuck off. And then you realize there's that one lame deer that's done. He knows what cars are. And so he fucks off into the woods, and he's kind of like, he's like, fuck you, whatever. Like, he tried to tell the other deer, but they'll learn their own way.
I got 3 good legs and one not so good.
Don't call me Eileen, bitch. So I get to Shane's house, and I drop this thing off in Shane's driveway, and Shane's like, dude, just fucking Viking funeral.
The Asian deer? Irene.
That's the Jamaican deer. What are you talking about?
Long story short, too late. I went up to Toronto, Ontario, sicker than a fucking dog. I took the Greyhound in the middle of a fevered flu. Got on Greyhound, went to Toronto, Ontario.
Affected the entire bus.
Clearly. Bought a Previa for $700 at a crackhead car lot in Toronto. Drove it across the border with the plates from my other Previa on it. At which point, border guards can see that your headlights are on.
You say.
Canadian cars, their headlights are on all the time. American cars, they're not.
Devil's in the details.
The devil's in the details. So I had plates on the back of my car for a 95 Toyota Previa. When I got to the border, my white Previa had turned into blue. My four-wheel drive supercharged Previa had turned into a two-wheel drive, not so supercharged Previa. And my American Previa, where the headlights would be off at this time of the day, had Canadian very much on during the day headlights. So that caused a modicum of suspicion in the border guard, who also has a computer that tells him, your vehicle can't re-enter America if it never came into Canada to begin with. Yes, folks. They have computers that tell them that. So my license plate, which entered Canada in my backpack, was now trying to enter America on the front of a lightly purchased, illegally imported, illegally customs violation vehicle.
It was at this point that Phil realized he's fucked.
No, the gentleman at the customs agent said, what you
I
got
have
here?
a big penis. How's your mouth?
The customs agent said, whose car is this? And I said, it's my mom's. And he said, how long has it been in Canada? And I said, a while, because I knew that the plates hadn't crossed in a while, ever. And I said, yeah, I was getting some work done on it, and I came up here to rescue it for her and bring it back to America.
I'm an awesome son.
Because I'm a great son.
Yeah.
And it broke down in Canada, and I'm trying to get it back for her. And he goes, is this an American car or a Canadian car? And I said, well, it's a Japanese car. And he said, answers like
ground, motherfucker.
he said, answers like that won't help you.
Oh.
And I went, oh shit. I'm going to know what Canadian dick tastes like.
Sense of humor.
Pretty sure it's maple syrup. And so he was nice enough to tell me that my vehicle had never been to Canada before. Yeah. Well, at least the license plate hadn't. He was nice enough to remind me that it's pretty fucking obvious to him which cars are Canadian, which cars aren't, based on which cars have their headlights on all the time. And I went, that's an interesting thing. I wish I would have known about that before I lied to you. And he said, yeah. And he says, what do you think the dollar value of this car is?
Damn.
And I said, what do you think the dollar value I need to declare is? And he goes, well, anything above $400 to get you going. And I said, I just bought it for $700. I need the parts. And he goes, so it's a parts car. And I said, it's a parts car.
Yeah.
And he said, okay. And he went back and he charged me $36 duty.
Fair.
Perfect.
I know. I was so happy.
So happy.
I was thrilled. And I was like, would cash be okay? Or do I have to convert this to beaver pelts?
And there was no lube involved at all?
No!
Okay, great.
No, he disappeared. He told me to go over there and talk to the not nice people at the Customs Bureau. I explained the situation was well out of my hands, and I was going to pay some sort of a duty. I showed them that I paid $700 for a motor vehicle. They came back and said, you know what? You owe us $36.
Done.
And I went, would you like cash? And currently, I'll give you American or whatever.
Or flesh.
Exactly.
Pesos.
That was a good resolution.
And I drove right back to America in the world's worst Previa. And then we took that Previa apart, and we stole all the parts off of that Previa to make my really fucked up Previa good again. And that really fucked up Previa has been driving around Cleveland in the care of many different punk rock musicians and metal band musicians, and just recently was sold back again to the guy that I sold it to. It has gone full fucking circle. Maybe I'll buy it. Maybe I won't. I don't think I will.
Current mileage?
Oh, astronomical.
Well, those 2.4s will run forever.
They'll run forever.
But it's got new windows.
Yeah, it's got all that beautiful Canadian glass in it.
Doesn't it have a chain? Does that have a chain? That's got a timing chain.
Yeah, it's timing chain. But the one that I've got outside is a 2.4 turbo, or a turbo diesel. So 2.8 actually, 2.8 turbo diesel.
But more importantly,
With a 5-speed.
it has electronically operated curtains.
It does have electronically
And
operated
original
curtains.
windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has electronic. You press a button and curtains close all over the vehicle.
That's sexy.
It is sexy.
I want that.
And then it has a gunner station. So you press the button and the roof opens up, so you
Yep.
can be up there with your 7.62.
While you're getting gunned.
Yeah, yeah.
Or we can use that to pop out at Mid-Ohio to get deals.
Oh yes, exactly.
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Or to answer questions.
Or to answer questions. I notice you're driving on the wrong side of the vehicle. I need to talk to you about that. I saw a right-hand drive vehicle one
I
time.
will buy that right now, except for I don't have my checkbook.
Or money.
Yeah,
I just need to ask my wife.
I just got to ask my wife. Oh, we got a ration of shit from Mid-Ohio this year. Like, we got all kinds of crazy shit.
How about
Yeah.
more emails? Do we have any emails or anything of
No,
of
we're
substance?
kind of racking through them pretty good. We're pretty decent. I think that's, and unless anybody else has anything else they absolutely need to bring to the party. Again, one motorcycle show. If you're going to one motorcycle show, get in touch with us because I will be there. And hey, why not? Right? We can hang out and drink things.
So if somebody is a
And yeah, Ohio. Before one is IMS show in Cleveland. And that is January 20. Anyone got a calendar on them?
it's like 27th or something.
Yeah,
Telephone
27th, 8th, and 9th. Yeah, what's that? And so if you are going to be in Cleveland for that, get in touch with us here. So it's clevelandmoto@gmail.com. Reach out to us and let us know so we can give you the proper amount of horse brutality to let you know how much we love you.
If
Bring
one
more
of,
road pops too.
Exactly.
if one of the top Patreon supporters wants to come to Cleveland and do that, would there be stickers or?
Well, they can't top $10.
Okay.
I mean, right now, as what you know is this quality, high level of craft, fine artisanal podcasting is going to cost some people as much as $10 a month.
Do you think that we could like
Fromage.
send one of us out with a badge to help them?
Oh yeah.
What are you, Barney Fife?
Oh yeah. You guys know that.
Well, if you have the hotline number,
we have a hotline.
so if you have the hotline,
Right. If you have the hotline number and you happen to be at the Cleveland Motorcycle Show,
right,
you should use that.
right, there's no thing.
I'm just going to let you know that if you have the hotline number and you want to get into the motorcycle show for free,
That's hotline stuff.
that's kind of a perfect opportunity to use that hotline number.
unofficially.
Unofficially,
Step into
exactly.
the phone booth, take off your tie.
Your badge could say any number of names on it.
Yeah.
You could be Dr. Waters. You could be anybody.
Johnny Cochran.
Johnny Cochran, exactly.
Smith.
You could
No,
be Chris
you
Smith.
don't, you don't want to be Chris Smith, though.
Yeah, but you could be.
How are there 11 Johnny Cochrans in this building?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
How did that happen? Anybody else got anything else? I know.
Nick and I were talking about whether or not we should talk about motorcycle valves.
Oh shit!
I was
You got-
going to flex my ignorance.
You should. No, this is actually a good time to do a tech tip.
Is it?
Fire away,
It's
yeah.
not really
Well,
a
no,
tech tip.
but
It's a
before
hack
you
tip.
start,
Yeah,
me and Mike are in contact pretty much every day. You know, texting back and forth.
yeah. I forward all his shit to my wife.
Yeah, and so he was about to like stab himself in the eye over this DZR,
This Dr. Z.
DRZ.
Yeah,
that
he's
he
got
has,
this Dr.
right?
Z. It's giving him
Safety
trouble.
squints and
And
gaze.
and this thing has given him. It's been running, and then it hasn't been running. He's
Right.
taken it to Pennsylvania to go on a trip, and then it didn't run and stuff.
Aw.
So this thing's been the bane of his existence for a while.
And people tend to like Dr. Z's.
And
Right.
I bought it for my son to be like some emotional attachment point,
Right.
right?
and he hates it. And
Oh, okay.
But you adopted it, and then you said, "I'm gonna fucking love this bitch until it works."
Right.
yeah.
And then what happened?
Well, much like
Nothing.
It didn't work.
It didn't work.
there's been a lot of things that have happened with it. Like when I first got the thing, it didn't run right. So Phil and I made a comment to Phil earlier today, like, you know, when a client comes to you and tells you the answer to the problem, and then you chase that little white rabbit till it's
it.
a festering pus hole, and you can't get your finger out of your
You know what you can do to your hat?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Some serious hatting.
Right.
And so, but I'm stupid, and sometimes I'll buy into that, and I'll be like, okay, because you're paying the bills,
Right.
I'll listen to you.
Exactly. The
And-
customer's always right,
But until they're
but not an expert.
and usually not at the beginning.
Right.
And so, my job as a professional and
Right.
as a father is to say, I've been alive for a few decades, and you've been breathing mostly borrowed air the whole time.
Exactly.
So just tell me what you want, and I'll tell you how it works. And so this bike, so I bought this bike. The guy told me straight out, well, the carburetor, blah, blah, blah. So I've been chasing this fucking carburetor for 2 years. I've rebuilt this thing 12, 13 times. And I don't mean rebuilt, but I've had it apart.
Yeah.
I've done all the right things.
Stabbed it with
12,
screwdrivers.
right?
Yeah.
I've poked it. I've been like prom dating this thing forever. And I'm not getting any satisfaction.
You're like, how do you have 15 pairs of panties on? I'm trying so
Right?
hard.
I'm just like,
But what is the matter with it? What are the
so
symptoms?
ultimately, lately, okay, so I don't know because I'm kind of ignorant and I'm not a bike mechanic.
Right.
Well, you're plenty ignorant.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, there is no bottom to the well. So a friend of mine's over the other day. He goes, "Hey, did you check the compression?" I said, "Yeah, I don't know how to do that."
Oh, come on.
Right? Because I don't have a thing that checks compression. So I buy a thing that checks compression.
Compression gauge.
Compression gauge.
Right. So
I need the thing that
for
checks
like
compression.
$15, I get a thing at. Oh, no, it wasn't $15. I actually worked a little deal at AutoZone. I got the $45 model for. Oh, sorry about your thing, Steve. There's a sticker in
Oh,
that
that's
place.
cool. Just keep smacking it. The best thing to do is just keep hitting it. That works really well.
Anyway, I'll slow this down.
right.
So the fucking thing, it has no compression. It's like
Did the
60.
needle fall off your compression gauge?
No. So like it's supposed to have 138.
Should be 140, yeah.
The book says 138.
Yeah.
So I'm like, because I have the S model. Okay, I have 60.
Did you put oil in it? And did you do it wet too?
Doesn't matter if you got 60.
I never
you done
do
fucked
it wet.
the pooch,
I just,
man.
I just
but I'm
lick
saying
the
it's
piston.
the
Let us
rings
talk.
are-
The motor's been apart already.
It had never been apart.
The motor apart.
He fucked the motor apart?
They're fighting.
He fucked the motor apart.
Push me, shove you. Push me, shove you. Push me, shove you.
I'm gonna walk like this.
I'm going to walk like this.
All right. So 60 psi does not make a Dr. Z fire. Yeah. A DRZ won't fire on 60 psi. Yeah.
No, unless
Right.
you.
I heard something about a marshmallow on
Mushroom?
a valve.
What? What?
We're going to let this keep going. Fuck that. 2 hours, 20 minutes. We're going for 3.
So he
keep
thought
going.
he thought
Okay,
he had
sorry.
a
So you're at a 60
he thought he had a
PSI
bent
compression.
valve.
It was
He like,
horrible. I don't know anything. See, the worst part is I don't know anything.
He was
about,
shocked to find out he didn't have enough compressions.
I didn't even know what compression was.
Right.
What was your valve
So I
clearance
took the
like,
motor out.
minus
I took
10?
the head off. I looked at the valve, and the valve looked like.
It was caked in carbonized mushrooms.
I'm sorry, I smoked by your bike a lot.
Anyway, so in the meantime, I ordered new valves, intake valves. So I ordered these intake valves that 3-4 days, whatever. In the meantime, I'm like, well, I've got a Dremel with like this little weird flat plastic bit thing. I'm like Dremeling my valves, trying to clean them up because if like whatever, I'll have backup valves. I don't know because I don't know anything. So I ordered the
What were
wrong.
the seats like?
They were sweet.
They were sweet. There was nothing wrong.
I dremeled
with
those too.
Sweet, with those
Everything
seats.
was shiny. So, in the meantime, I ordered the wrong damn things. I ordered the exhaust valves. I get the things. I'm like, these are too small. These don't fit. Fuck. Send them back.
It
By the
turns
way,
out the valves weren't right that he ordered.
right. And so, but I cleaned up the other ones and I assembled everything because I thought, well, I don't know what I'm doing anyway. What's the difference?
And wait, so real quick,
Yes.
so this thing, when you tried to start it all the time, it would run a little bit, wouldn't run, it wouldn't just, it would choke, it wouldn't run, you'd have to choke the shit out of it, all this
I would
stuff.
have to hook it up to my van and use
drag
the
it.
battery. And start it until it would go like go 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 go
Right.
go.
Well, once
go,
you get
go,
enough
go, go,
velocity,
go go go.
Once you get enough velocity, even though you've only got 60 pounds
Right,
of compression,
exactly, right.
it's going to fire
Right.
because
now,
Oh, yeah.
it's firing,
If
but it
you
won't
dump
want to
enough
idle
fuel
right.
into the, if you
Yes.
dump enough fuel
yeah.
into the
So
cylinder,
now-
you get enough heat going on.
Right.
Sure.
So now Mike has ground
Yes.
away the mushrooms. He's got the valve
Yes.
to seat into the fucking seats.
Thank God.
And what happens?
It started. So I sent back the new valves.
Sweet baby,
I don't need those
You don't
fuckers.
need those because it turns out if you take a fucking wire wheel to the hardened metal of your valves
Not even a-
and remove all of the schmoo that's on your valves,
It was.
then they may go up and down
I'll
in the
send him the
guides.
picture so he can post
And the
them.
keepers.
I've never seen anything like it. Was.
Did
so
you engage
bizarre.
safety squints when
No,
doing this?
never. I have polycarbonate UV thingies.
Oh
on my
man!
face.
Yeah, was your lash? I mean, was your
I did
lash
check.
too tight
It
originally?
was. No, so I had a friend of mine because I didn't see. Here's the thing: is shim and bucket.
Right.
Up until now, I've been a Tappet guy because I've got old Suzuki's.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. I'm like
screw
shim and
and-
bucket. Oh fuck! I need an Oracle. So I send it over to my friend, and he does the thing.
Or a
well,
feeler
he
gauge.
never like. So he.
He does the thing.
He does
Yeah.
the thing.
What do you do?
No,
Too
it's
many
all-
shims?
It's very mystic. So he.
What you do is you take your old worn out shim and you flip it over, put it back in, and you're all good.
So I learned a ton in this.
Yeah, but you're a pro, dude.
Yeah, I'm an amateur.
that side of the road.
So he never.
That's
checked-
pretty fucking hillbilly.
That's hillbilly.
Me and Mike are blind guys shoving things into motors, trying to make them work.
I shove
dude.
things into all kinds of stuff. I'm so blind.
How many kids do you have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: the guy that did the valve job, he never checked compression.
Right.
So he never did that. He also never scoped. Like I have a.
So tech tip, real quick tech tip here.
Right.
You're working on your valves. What do you do to make sure that after you fucked with them, like you fucked with them,
Oh, I fucked hard.
did you lap them in with diamond paste?
No.
You motherfucker. How could you not do that?
Well, here's-
Well, anyway, there's a
fucking
thing
criminal.
called diamond paste. It comes
I
in
read
a
up
tube.
on it.
You can buy it at any auto parts
It's
store.
cheap.
You get these little suction cupper fucking
Yep.
things.
John uses
You
it like
slap them on
KY
the
jelly.
valve. You put a little diamond paste on the valve. You go like you're trying to start a fucking fire,
Sure.
or you can put it on a drill. There's something,
Yeah.
whatever.
There's all kinds
Calluses
of.
do you have on your dick?
That's the shit. You get all that fucking diamond paste out of the fucking world because
Yeah.
you don't want that in your diamond paste in your oil after
No.
you start the fucking motor and
Obviously.
everything like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, obviously.
But
Polishes your bearings, though.
shut the fuck up. Now that you've re-lapped your valve, that's called lapping your valves.
Right. I read about that.
Now that you've lapped your valves and reassembled your head, what you do is
can
you
lap my
turn
head.
your fucking head upside down on the table,
Yep. Right.
fill the combustion chambers
Yep.
full of
With-
gasoline or
I used,
guzzling.
I used
whatever you prefer.
acetone. I used
Gasoline.
acetone.
Use whatever the fuck you
Well,
want.
that's
I don't
what I
care
had
if
on
you use
hand.
water, beer, any kind of
No,
fucking
not
liquid.
beer.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
If
matter.
it doesn't leak, you're good.
If it doesn't leak, if you don't see it dribbling out,
Right.
shut the fuck up. If it doesn't come out your exhaust port or your intake port,
You're done.
you're probably fucking good.
So this is so all that. And so I'm glad you said all that because I did. So after, I don't even know how old I am anymore.
So anyway,
let's say 20
you
years.
take yon head and
Yes.
slap it on yon cylinder
Yes.
and torques it down to
Yes.
whatever fucking torque spec
18
is
and 32 progressively.
Great. Make
Right?
sure you put your fucking cam chain and your cam and
New
put all the
gaskets,
fuck
don't
back.
skimp.
Yes, yes.
Fucking
Yes.
Send those back, too?
yeah. No, I used new ones.
Shut the fuck up!
So fuck.
You're being mean.
So I don't. So
I love how the two guys in the room have rebuilt more motors than anybody else in the room are baiting.
So here's the shit. I've never done any of that. I don't have your wooden doll dildo valve gapper thing. Yeah, that. I saw it on the internet. I was like $9. I can't
suction
afford
cups? I can't afford
$9.
that.
Fuck that.
For suction cups on a stick?
Because I've been a craftsman for a long time. I did this all by hand, by eye. I don't know, fucking whatever.
doesn't really
By
matter.
Zen, Yoda.
Yeah, I suppose wire wheel on a
So
fucking.
It actually doesn't
So
matter.
the fun part is, I went from 60 psi compression,
Right.
to 100
70.
135.
Right.
Now
Just
that could
this
have been my
close.
gauge because I
He
don't
was
know.
a blonde one-off.
It's a shitty gauge. I
Doesn't
bought it
matter.
on eBay or some shit.
Close enough for rock and roll.
AutoZone.
And the
Close enough for
first,
It
DRZ.
sounds like you're back in the hunt.
You're
the
back in the
first
hunt.
time I hit the fucking button,
Yeah.
what happened?
Magic.
It made poofy noises.
It made fire.
Goofy noises.
Holy
That's so the guy that I bought the bike from.
You accidentally did a head job.
I know. So I bought the bike from this old BMW guy. And I love Dave. Hey, shout out to Dave. I'm not going to say who.
Way to go, Dave. Shout out to Dave.
He said no.
And the rest will remain nameless.
No, that's not possible. You can't just clean up your valves and get compression back.
Yes, you can.
No, you
But I'm
absolutely
ignorant.
can.
You absolutely can.
Right?
I guarantee it.
we get an
many,
amen?
many times.
I've taken bikes that had water in
Yep,
them.
exactly.
Where the valves, where it's all rusted. And you're like, this is bad.
Right. This is fucked.
But guess what? You take that shit out. The metal is so fucking hard that
Right.
the seats and the valves are.
These are
that you
kilowatt
clean it up on a
valves.
fucking wire wheel, and I'll be like, I'll be goddamn.
Push
this
it
shit
through,
is
man.
actually taking a fucking
Yeah.
cup fucking wire wheel and running it through the whole head and cleaning the seats out, and
almost your uncle.
it'll bring it back to life.
It's remarkable.
But I like to finish them with a diamond paste lapping.
If I had-
Can you say that for me?
I'm not going to say it.
He's not going to.
I'm not going to.
or you can use Crest.
Crest. Oh, like that.
Crest
On your
toothpaste.
headlights.
Crest
too.
toothpaste actually
So,
works fucking great.
I don't know what
Yeah,
diamond
I can
paste
see it.
lapping shit is,
It's
but in my
Crest
Dremel
toothpaste.
kit,
Crest toothpaste.
there was this red clay
Oh yeah,
pumice shit.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I use.
So that's actually
It's the same thing.
Okay.
You use
Brilliant.
Jeweler's Rouge?
Brilliant.
Oh, you're fucking uppity now.
It's not
Well,
bad.
sorry. I didn't
Came with
really
every fucking
step
bullshit.
in.
The first ever Harbor Freight, like my first grinder set, my first Dremel tool set. You're like, oh, cool. Check out this is going to break and fly into my eye at 93,000 RPM. Oh, check this out. This is going to like fall apart the second I try to touch the metal. And look, there's a little strange, weird plastic cylinder of hard putty for some reason. What is that shit?
I did lick it. I mean, spit it.
That is the world's hardest rouge. That stuff that when you buy a set of like the multi-set of don't say the word Dremel because that's copyrighted. When you say Dryman, like when you say
High RPM spinning tool.
rotary tool.
Rotary tool.
tool.
Yep.
When you say rotary tool, and if it's less than $20 at Harbor Freight, you can stop it with your tongue. Every single
I mean,
time.
I did buy a proper
They're
D
garbage.
tool.
Right? Oh yeah. They're garbage.
spent the
But
money.
anyone I've ever bought for like, Harbor Freight special super discount, $12.99.
No torque. No, this thing will grind.
And then you go. Aw, you suck. You're not a tool.
I just cut them
You're a
off
sex
our-
toy.
I can't
my
even
daughter's car
put my
with
own
this thing.
filling in my tooth.
I know
or
it's
anything.
garbage. Half that shit from Harbor Freight,
So
really.
I mean, so all ignorance aside,
Yeah.
or
You
not
did the
aside,
job, dude. You
It
did
was
the job.
crazy, and I felt so good that
You grinded
that
your
I
valves.
got this
Ground.
thing for 2 years. This fucking thing would not make
Right.
sparks and fire, and all of a sudden I hit the button and it's a motorcycle.
And you know what? You probably had one particle of crap.
It doesn't take shit.
It doesn't take shit. So, like on
so
an intake
happy.
valve, when you have one thing that is the size of like a kernel of like single FG gunpowder,
Yeah.
gun fags. I'm with you, Brevy.
speak up.
And so when you have that on your valve and your valve doesn't close by just that one little tiny bullshit, then your shit doesn't work.
The
You
right
don't get
way to really
compression.
fix something like that is it's kind of like the brake situation, but you do that to your throttle.
Exactly.
You open your throttle all the way up, zip tie it, start the bike up,
Yep.
and just let it run at
And
10,000
it'll blow it
RPM
out.
for probably 24
Right.
to 48 hours.
No fucking power. So I sprayed a bunch of seafoam carb fogger
With
shit.
seafoam in the
With
tank.
seafoam in
And
it.
you-
That's what
and
fucked
you're
it
gonna
up.
just want to keep filling up the
According
tank.
to the internet, that's how you fix that. I watched that video.
It was running moderately
You get your
shitty.
bike up to about 24,000 RPM, right?
More in the intake too.
You pour it into the
It was
intake
horrible.
as fast as you can.
You
Look
pull
for
all
the
the
smoke
shit
out
out
of the
of the
tailpipe.
boot from the friggin' air box.
And then when you do all that, then that cleans your valves and seats for you. That's the right way to do it.
Free cleaning.
Yeah, exactly.
And if your exhaust is not
course it
orange
is.
and fucking cherry red, you're not doing it right.
Well, yeah, what I like to say is at the point where you can light a cigarette off the headlight.
Right.
When you can light a cigarette off the headlight,
probably-
you've achieved greatness.
Want to take the exhaust off so it doesn't melt down.
Oh, that's a
Oh,
good idea
right,
too.
right.
Right. Take the exhaust off to let it flow better. That's a good idea.
So Mike left, but
Yeah.
the shit worked. He made it work.
He made a DRZ work.
Right.
Exactly. So
Right.
he had failed valves, and now he has no longer failed valves.
Don't buy those valve lap tools. Buy the ones made by a company called Lyle because they're made in USA.
Oh, that's correct. Lyle's are made in America.
That's a great company.
I still like to tell people, I'm like, no, the valve lapping tool is not just a suction cup. Although at the shop, when you get bored, you will start to realize that it is a perfectly good suction cup.
While we're on the topic of Lyle,
Yeah.
I bought one of the things, one of my favorite little tools is the Lyle test lamp. So if you look at it, and it's Lyle, but it's spelled L-I-S-E.
Yeah, it's
L-I-S-L-E. Yeah.
L-I-S-L-E. Yeah.
And it's there, and it's a digital test
It's a
lamp.
digital
So
test lamp. Yeah.
Not only, so it's not just a stupid dumb one where it has a light bulb in it.
It
but
does
it
have a
actually
light bulb
has
in
some
it.
circuitry in it.
Yeah.
It's a voltmeter.
Right.
But then it goes red if it's correct polarity. It goes or green if it's correct polarity, red if it's reverse polarity.
Oh, wow.
And it's a little bit. It's kind of a smart thing.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of money, and I don't know what they're.
They're
asking.
$45 now. Yeah.
I got mine for cheaper than that. I think it was maybe under 30.
Well, that's the 30 volt.
Right.
So you do
need
the 30 volt.
48 volts.
No, 30 volts is fine. So if you do the 30 volts, you're around $30. And the cool thing about the Lyle, so every test light you've ever handled, anytime you bought a set of tools that was like Fisher Price My First Tools toolkit,
Sure.
there's something that looks like a screwdriver with a cord coming out of it and like a little electronic connector. Anytime you see a screwdriver with a cord coming out of it, that is known as a test light or a trouble light or test light. So that device is basically designed to do one of two things. One is to introduce you to direct current in the most spectacular way possible. Don't use it anywhere near fluorescent lighting fixtures or anything else like that. But this is the real deal. So this is the object that they were copying when they made that Little Tykes My First Place set that you bought at Harbor Freight. This device actually has a little board on it, a little circuit board. And on the circuit board, what they're going to tell you is polarity. So with a very small chip, you're going to be able to tell positive from negative and up to 30 volts.
And this is also sensor safe.
Absolutely.
And if you're working on a vehicle, especially Dodges have the whole CAN bus system
CAN bus,
and everything like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
So you can hook up to something and you're not putting 12 volts to it.
Right.
You're just telling what's going across.
Yep,
And
exactly.
they're a lot more safer to work with
Right.
because they're not really giving you a direct ground.
If you're interested in using the one that I have that is slightly more Jedi
Sophisticated.
and costs $5 less.
Bells and whistles.
So this one is my this is my little guy, and this is the All Sun. All Sun, you might remember when you were a kid, you'd pull into your dad's, like your dad would pull into the garage, and you'd pull up to the diagnostic computer in 1976, and there'd be this like big red and blue sheet metal constructed display with 19 CRTs in it, and you'd hook like 37 lines up to your Buick,
Alternator.
and it would tell you all kinds of shit, and it was basically like 17 oscilloscopes with like Houlihan and Big Chuck show on one, and Elvira on the other, and Ghoulardi on the third, and then that would all tell you that your car was running at a completely unacceptable 1970s degree of
Damn
tune.
Valkyries.
Exactly. So this deal right here, All Sun, this All Sun dude is, I'll give you guys, podcast listeners, type in to your Amazon procurement device, Allsun, ALLSUN, Digital Automotive Electrical Circuit Tester. And what I'm going to tell you is for the princely sum of 26.99 doll hairs, this little bastard does a pretty good job of testing everything and won't fuck you in the ass on BMWs with the CAN bus. I like these guys. And what they do is they have a little range there. If you look at the tool will tell you when you fucked up and you've got it connected inversely for positive or negative ground. But it also gives you a cute little diode range between 2 volts and 24 volts, how much power you've got going through it at that moment, which is particularly good for turn signal questions and brake light questions, which seem to plague all of us.
The other little tool that I picked up, and it's currently on sale through Sears, is a AC/DC amp clamp. So what that allows you to do, and it also has a thermometer built into it. It's normally $89.99. I picked it up for like $36. Wow, deal. And so it's an amp clamp, so you can.
Is that an
clamp it.
AC/DC amp clamp? Can I use that at band clamp?
You certainly can.
Hand clamp?
But what it lets you do is, if you're ever trying to diagnose a parasitic draw,
Yeah. Oh no, for real.
so
Yeah. No, that's a good
you
thing.
can clamp it on any wire, but it has to be a singular. It can't be a pair. If you have the positive and negative,
Right.
they cancel
They
out.
can't
So
cancel out. Right.
you have to clamp it on either the positive or negative.
Easy.
Excuse me. But you can start by just clamping it right on their positive battery terminal. And you just clamp it. It's inductive, so you don't have to actually have any contact. You know
Right.
what I mean? And you just clamp it on your positive battery terminal with your key off. If you're showing any kind of draw,
Yeah.
you know you have a parasitic draw.
Right. Absolutely.
So, and then you can just go around from there and just start clamping on wires and find
Yep.
a parasitic
Oh, yeah.
draw
You-
very easily.
the
But
trick
it also has, and I haven't used it, it has a remote thermometer, so you can actually plug into it.
That's what
and
I
you
was
could
questioning
drop
about.
it into your, like, say, drop it into your radiator.
Yeah.
And,
Oh yeah.
and get an accurate read on what your actual temperature of
Really?
your coolant is or something like that.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
found that if you can grab, I had not seen one that had this deal here. This is about the cheapest clamp meters I can find. Is the Aid Tech.
it's easy to find AC ones.
Yep.
A DC
It's hard to find
one.
DC.
Yeah.
And these are about $40 for the little ones. And what I like about these is they're real small. So you can work around. So the problem with most the clamps is
they're
that they're
huge.
big. They're designed to work in household applications or industrial applications. So that that field that they create that you can range in is really, really big. So to find one that's small enough to use in motorcycle applications where you can split a wiring harness enough that you can get that through there and test these wires is kind of tough to do. And
The one that I bought also has like
Yeah.
so there's, if you turn it on, it's already starting to read. It gives you a number.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
Because
but you
there's
can
a
hit the
field there.
so it's
It's relative.
You can hit the rel and it'll zero out.
Oh wow.
So it starts at zero.
where did you get this?
This was through the Sears website.
Okay.
And they were, like I said, normally $89, but they were on sale for, I think I got mine for $36.
Wow. That's fantastic. That's a really, really good deal. I mean, that's
And then, of
that's
course, it
fantastic.
does all the other functions, like,
Yeah.
AC, DC voltage, ohms. It does have a diode tester function and probably a couple other things.
Probably doesn't look like that. That's $205.
KTM orange.
Yeah, it is truly KTM orange.
Yeah, $200.
Yeah,
that
that's big money.
adds $100 right there.
Clearly.
it's
Damn, son.
Maybe I'll bring it into next
I think you might have to bring
Yeah,
that one
sure,
in because that sounds like an
It's probably like the
extremely
perfect
good
size to fit right over your caucus. You can
Yeah, right. You could get it over the gland
amp
end there.
clamp on the
Yeah.
caucus.
Did you ever read any currents going through there? Or?
As a matter of fact.
I like Nick.
I got 24 volts, baby.
Nick's like, there's 21 appendages on the male body, and I know the resistance of all of them.
It depends on whether I'm hooked up or not. If I have my probe in and then I hook the clamp
Turns
on,
out I'm 28 ohms flaccid.
yeah.
That one's $855. What's
And
that?
there's zero resistance. Zero resistance.
No resistance at all. That's exactly it. You know what? I'm going to give you all of my 28 ohms. Fucking Ohm's Law is where it's at, baby.
And on that note,
You should all remember to ride fast and take chances. Sing us out, Johnny.
press the red button.